And so they're based in Cody, but they work also here in Powell. And probably more than beyond Hart County would be your reach, Amy, right? Scott Morrison with Morrison Creative. And then I'm going to introduce, you have a whole team of people, but Mark Crump is here with Bighorn Radio Network. And then also Toby Bonner with the Powell Tribune. And these are all resources that we can access locally that can handle, maybe not all of these aspects, maybe some of them, but definitely people that are great resources. So one of the big things, and how this kind of came to be is, when James and I go around to businesses, one of the things we hear all the time are, it's really hard, and how do we separate ourselves from others? I don't know, should I do Facebook? Should I, do I need to do emails? Does my website need to have e-commerce? What do I need to do? How do I make myself different? How do I make it in this world? How do I bring in outside dollars? So all of those challenges in our world are opportunities. The problem is, how do you access a lot of those outside dollars? How do you get the word out there? How do you grow your business or move forward your message and bring about that awareness that makes sense for you, right? Not everybody necessarily needs to be on Facebook, would be a point that I think we'll hear, or needs to send email blasts, or whatever that digital presence looks like, or is it that person-to-person marketing that's that customer intimacy, which is a lot of the reason why a lot of you are here today, because you have those relationships built with both PEP and Forward Cody. So that's something that's been resonating in the community with our local businesses for sure, that we hear on the economic development front, and also probably the Small Business Development Center. Actually, I want to point out one more resource. Bruce, where are you? In the back there, that's another local resource, the Small Business Development Center. Bruce Morse, he's located in Powell, but serves, of course, this whole region, the Bighorn Basin. But Bruce himself, and then as part of their team, they have someone in Lander who really specializes in some of the topics we'll have today. So those are the conversations we hear when we talk to businesses, is how do we do this? We don't know exactly what to do. And one of the businesses I work with a lot is Gluten-Free Harvest, Gluten-Free Oats, GF Harvest, Gluten-Free Oats, and Seton Smith. Seton also happens to be on my board of directors, which is great. But if you can imagine, gluten-free oats are on the same playing field as Quaker and who's General Mills, Cheerios. So they're swimming, I call it not swimming with the whales, they're swimming with the sharks. So, this has definitely been a topic that's been at the forefront for Seton. And Seton has encountered Gair, and so Gair's here with us today because of Seton. And Seton brought him in for a full-day workshop with his team yesterday. And when Seton told me he was bringing him in, my first thing was like, oh my gosh, if you're bringing in that caliber of speaker for you, I want to bring him to our local businesses too. And so that's why we get the privilege of hearing Gair Maxwell today, was we partnered also with Seton to make that happen. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Seton Smith with GF Harvest Gluten-Free Oats and let him introduce Gair.
Good morning. She said that she wasn't going to talk long, but I will. So, no, I want to say thank you for everybody coming out. As a small business competing against giants, coming from a kitchen table, an FFA project in 2004, we shipped all over the world. We're over a $2 million company right now. Our focus is to serve. We're a lot like every one of you is. You may have had your niche. You had people just coming in the door and they've just been there. Now then, things are changing. The world is different. The food industry is completely different than what it has been before. It's a tough market. So we're trying to figure out how to tell our story, which I think every one of them, everything from welding shops to banks to whatever, you got to tell your story, why you're different. I'm involved in a Vistage group out of Billings, Montana, that helps executives just share ideas, frustrations, and that's where I got plugged into Gair, sorry, I always mispronounce that. So anyway, he came up and talked to us for the half-day session like we're doing today. I just fell in love with his creative juices, his ability to help us think outside of our backyard, which is really what I see Powell, Wyoming. We're very proactive here. We want to do something. We want to make things better, but we have to think out of our backyard. So that's why I invested my team's time and money yesterday for an all-day session, and then really am excited to be able to share this with you guys. So I will read his script on how to introduce him. So Gair Maxwell is frequent flying author, speaker, and relevant strategist, addresses many national and international conferences, unveiling timeless secrets to help organizations and their people stay ahead of the relevance curve. His original market-tested ideas have inspired some companies to achieve 15 to 20 times growth while creating a category of one. He has worked with some of the world's best, including Apple, Specialized Marketing Group, shared speaking stages with icons such as Richard Branson, Gene Simmons, and named the Speaker of the Year by Tech Canada in the country's largest CEO organization. His book, entitled Nuts, Bolts, and a Few Loose Screws, is available through chapters.ca and amazon.com. He is also adjunct facility at the famous Wizard Academy out of Austin, Texas, a 21st century business school specializing in study and science of communicational arts. He helped many businesses throughout the world take members and accelerate them into different marketing angles. Buckle up and start your imagination engine for the high voltage journey called the branding highway. So would you please welcome Gair Maxwell.
Would you believe hundreds of hit records celebrate the freedom and the romance of the open road? Think about it. AC/DC's Highway to Hell, the Beatles' Drive My Car, Deep Purple's Highway Star, the Eagles Live Life in the Fast Lane, Springsteen was born to run, Steppenwolf was born to be wild, and then we've got the entire catalogs of both BTO and ZZ Top. But what is it about that type of tunage that seems to echo and reflect our endless fascination with this idea of stepping on the gas, opening up the throttle, and living by our own rules? In that context, think of the branding highway as an intriguing metaphor. It's an exploration of the uncommon universal elements that fuel uncommon universal success. Yes, we are going on a metaphorical road trip today. That's what's happening here in Powell, Wyoming. A metaphorical road trip exploring these uncommon universal elements. So it doesn't matter whether it's a company, a product, a service, a nonprofit. It doesn't matter whether you fall into B2B, B2C. It doesn't matter whether it's media, marketing, tourism, manufacturing. You could go on and on and on. These are all uncommon universal elements that anyone in the room can plug into and greatly accelerate the growth and the success of their business and personal brand. So it is on that note, I say good morning. Here we are in the shadows of some of the most beautiful panoramic scenery anywhere in the country, including, of course, world-famous Hart Mountain in the downtown of Powell, Wyoming. And I thank Christine so much for the invitation, the kind words. Seton Smith, of course, for reading that biography exactly as I wrote it. And let's go down this metaphorical road trip, shall we? But to do that, let me explain why. Why are we doing a road trip today? Why? Because I found it was pretty common. And it gives us a framework to take some of this abstract kind of branding, marketing talk and make it a lot more concrete. And the reason I selected the road trip as the metaphor was that I think everyone has been on a road trip and usually has fond memories of a great road trip. In other words, you know, whether it was last year you went to some festival, or maybe it was a Denver Bronco football game, or maybe, you know, it was something you did back in college or university. The typical road trip follows a predictable pattern. In other words, it's usually point A to point B and back again, and usually accompanied by a killer playlist. That's kind of how the road trip works. Well, what I've been observing for close to 20 years now is that most companies and their experiences with marketing is anything but. Typically, it's a journey that falls somewhere between ambiguous and uncertain. We're going to get lost along the way. We're going to spin our wheels, go in circles, and burn a lot of unnecessary time, money, energy, and effort. Does that sound familiar to anyone in the room? That's kind of how it works. And the truth is, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way at all. Not if you're the one. And who knows, maybe there's people in this room that will identify with this. It stops being that way when you're the one in the room that decides, hey, I'm going to be the one in my category that others emulate, that others try and copy. And that's what we're going to explore today in terms of, and we're going to be shameless about working the metaphor because we're going to actually explore direction. What actually works and why that is. We're going to also touch on the fuel that drives the exponential results. And here's the caution. Here's the caution, the word of warning. This is the exponential result class. The incremental result class is being held somewhere else. Maybe in Idaho or Iowa or in the Dakotas. But it's not being held here in Wyoming. This entire program that I'm sharing with you today, its sole focus is exponential results. In other words, how do you actually change the game? From where I sit, unless you're prepared to actually change the game, there is no point doing this. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay? We're going to talk about speed. Business is moving faster in 2017 than ever before. I wager it'll move faster again in 2018, 19, and 2020. What's happening in 2020? I think it's the millennials become about half of the entire working population. So the need for speed to bypass competitors as well as the traction, the emotional rubber that hits the road. How are we going to connect? How are we going to connect? As the world moves faster, how do we actually make connections, meaningful connections, with the people we most want to do business with, whether they're our clients, customers, whether they're strategic partners, suppliers? How do we actually make those valuable, irreplaceable emotional connections? You know, in other words, where does the rubber really hit the road in terms of traction? And your brand also can provide great protection, just like an automobile. When your automobile goes out on the road, typically you have things like insurance or roadside assistance or, you know, all the different things to help you so that you don't get lost, like GPS. Well, a great brand can also provide protection against things like economic uncertainty, political instability, and, as the musical opening alluded to, freedom. This is really a quest for freedom. And when you have freedom, you also have control. It's kind of paradoxical in a way. And what does freedom and control look like from a brand perspective? I could talk about it. I'd just rather show you the picture. What does freedom and control look like from a brand perspective? See, when you have freedom and control, you can basically be anything you want to be and sell anything you want. I mean, they are a bicycle company with engines and handlebars, aren't they? That's what they are, 2 wheels and handlebars and an engine. Yet, they're also selling millions and millions of dollars of merchandise. Christine mentioned, I was just across the pond. Freedom and control. You know you have freedom and control when your brand is so powerful, it's actually got 400 brand extensions off of it. So it doesn't matter what business category Virgin decides to compete in. They already know going in, they have a better than average chance of winning simply because of the brand and the freedom and the control that they possess. Does that make sense, you guys? I mean, is it inconceivable to think that someday Harley-Davidson could open up a hotel chain? I mean, who would stay at a Harley-Davidson hotel chain? I know these 3 guys would. I think I'm right, actually. Yeah. They want diesel in the morning for coffee, don't they? Absolutely. This is my Harley table right here. So, you know, that's not... And you say to yourself, well, how could Harley start a hotel company? Well, wait a second. Just based on their brand, they actually could. But I digress. Let's go back in time. This is Wyoming, circa 1958, 59, 60, 61. Is there a town called Douglas? Okay, I think this is where I found this. So before I came here, and before I go anywhere, I always kind of try and find something historical from the late 1950s, early 1960s. So please, let's not quibble over whether or not this is from 59 or 62. Is that okay with everyone? Can we just automatically pass the no quibble rule here today? It's just not worth it. So this is late 50s, early 60s, give or take 50 odd years ago. So what were people in Wyoming doing 50 odd years ago in the late 50s, early 60s? They were gathered around living rooms like this, consuming information. Yes or yes? That's exactly, and of course at this guy's family, they were also tipping a few, right? But here's the thing, guys. When they weren't, and in Britain they call it the telly, just so you know, eh? It's the telly. Yeah, and so when they weren't doing this, they were also getting their information to a large degree from things like newspapers and magazines, and in the newspapers and the magazines, they would see ads that looked like this. But the same thing was happening in Wyoming 50 years ago that's happening today. In other words, 50 odd years ago, people were trying to influence how you thought. They were trying to change your behavior with messages. And then what happened? New technology. Brand new technology. Untested, unproven, but let's see how the new technology works.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Why not change to Camels for the next 30 days and see what a difference it makes in your smoking enjoyment? See how Camels agree with your throat. See how mild and good tasting a cigarette can be.
And see, while the doctors were recommending the Camels, the dentists, for the record, they were pitching the Viceroys. Why? We have the youngest customers in the business. And Christmas morning, she'll be happier with a Hoover. So how do we typically react when we see, how do we react, guys, when we see this type of information sent our way? With the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, what are we doing? We're laughing at it, we're shaking our heads. Part of us is thinking, well, this is ridiculous. A, what were they thinking? B, were they thinking at all? But to be fair, 50 odd years ago, whether it was anywhere from Jackson, Mississippi to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, guess what? That was the language, that was the sign of the times. Would you believe we are 50 odd years later and we are going through exactly the same thing, only different. But it's the same, but it's different. That's what we're exploring today, and how you can actually take what's coming in the future, to take what's happening right now and greatly accelerate and differentiate everything that you do to try and get your message across, to try and get your brand known, to try and build your business. So that's why we're going down this metaphorical road trip, and we've broken it down into 4 little towns. So you've all got an executive logbook. And the way this breaks down is that we got these 4 little towns that we're going to stop in along the way. And the first little town is a place called Clarity Springs. And at Clarity Springs, we're going to spend the better part of the first half of the morning, because it is the most important. And the most significant question is the first one. What do you actually want your brand to do? What do you want your brand to do? And we're going to do a very quick exercise to get our feet wet and our hands dirty on this, because it's going to be a working session. What do you want your brand to do? So here's what I mean by the question. If you were to hire a person you're hiring a VP of finance, or you're hiring an operations director, or you're hiring an HR person. You actually know what you want that person to do. If you were commissioning the purchase of a piece of equipment for your company, where's Zach? I met Zach here this morning. Zach, if you were purchasing a piece of equipment, you know what you want that equipment to do, yes? Exactly. I want you to think of your brand the same way. What function do you want it to fulfill? You've got about 20 seconds to answer the question. It's on page 4. 20 seconds, because you want to answer quickly. What do you actually want your brand to do? You have to answer quickly because your first knee-jerk response is the most honest response right now. The beauty of this session is that there are no right or wrong answers. No matter how you answer this question, it's the right answer because that's how you're feeling here in June of 2017 as we jump in and start riding down this metaphorical branding highway. So, let's see what we can do here. Who's got some feedback right away for us? Who's got an answer? What do you want your brand to do? Because I want people to share what they're writing down a little bit. It'll help get us going. What do you actually want your brand to do?
I want it to reach out and punch somebody's interest.
You want it to reach out and punch somebody's interest. So I wasn't wrong about the Harley-Davidson table here, was I?
More beer drinkers, drinking wine.
See, I've always appreciated feedback in a session because I think, you know, when you're just starting something like this, everyone's kind of settling in and looking around and they don't want to be judged by their neighbors, and a lot of people do this. I like the guys who move first. So, what's your name, sir?
Jim Graham.
Jim.
Sorry.
Charlie? Is it Jim or Charlie? Which one is it? Charlie? Charlie, thanks for going first. Whoever goes first, by the way, gets a reward, typically. That's kind of how it works. You guys okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, who else got some feedback on this? What do you actually want your brand to do? You want it to gain interest in terms of punching people up. Trust? What else? There's no right or wrong answer. Let me get a few more answers, though.
Did you gain something in return?
Hippity hops. Charlie wasn't making this up. Over here, what? You want your brand to actually what? Say that again? Sell the product. Anyone fundamentally opposed to having your brand actually sell the product? I don't see any hands going up. Okay. Anyone else? What do you actually want your brand to do? Over here. Hold on, Seaton. You're disqualified right now. You're already further down the road. What do we got?
I want my brand to be the symbol for safe patient handling.
Okay. I want my brand to be the symbol for safe patient handling. Now that is a noble cause, is it not? And you must be in the caregiving business, I'm guessing.
I created the safe patient handling device.
Right. Your name is?
Dan.
Dan. Okay, Dan's got the right answer, Charlie's got the right answer, that gal over there's got the right answer. But we are at Clarity Springs. And I get to travel to speak to CEO groups all over the world, as Christine just mentioned. So let me give you a laundry list, a smattering of some of the feedback I get. And I could go literally for hours on this, but we'll just do it real quick. Some people tell me, some CEOs and senior managers tell me, they want the brand to delight customers, they want it to gain competitive edge, to convey trust. What did you say, Dan? It was the symbol for
Safe
patient care. Okay. Some people want their brand to educate consumers, some people want it to boost perceived value, some people want it to actually spark profitable growth. And I'm not kidding now. Who is fundamentally, okay, let's have a vote. We're here in Wyoming. Powell, who fundamentally is in favor of profitable, sustainable growth? Who's in favor? Second the motion. I need a seconder. Second by Dan. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded nay. See, I've never found a contrary-minded nay ever. So motion's carried, and then differentiate as well comes up there. Okay? How many hands for differentiation? Like, how do I separate my, is it the beer business, Charlie?
Hops.
Hops. Kind of like the beer business.
Well, it's the start.
It's the start. Okay. Okay, so whatever it is, how do I separate, whether it's my care facility, my insurance company, my, how do I differentiate? So how many votes for differentiation here in the room? We got a few? Okay, awesome. Now, here's the thing. If you throw 50 business owners in a room, would you believe answering that question you'll get 50 different answers? By now, that's what everyone has seen. But we're at Clarity Springs, and clarity means that. Unusual, highly focused, laser-focused clarity so that we can get to where we want to go faster without impediment. Now, if it's 50 business owners in a room and you get 50 different answers, and they all go do their own thing, that's great. But what if the 50 people in the room are all from the same company? Do you want 50 different answers, or do you want the one answer? Do you want 50 people on the same page or not? Yes or yes? Of course. That's what I want you to think of right now. What is the answer that gets everyone realizing what this thing really is so that we don't waste time, money, effort, energy? And this is, like I say, something that I've picked up over the years simply by working with hundreds, if not thousands, of business people just like you. The answer's on page 2 in your logbook. There's a cartoon on page 2 in your logbook. Now, the cartoon, someone's going to figure it out. There's 4 different responses, basically. This is all about clarifying perspective. There's 4 different options you can go, but only one is the preferred option for your business. Does anyone see it?
I'm assuming it is that I understand. Are we talking about?
Are we talking about the bottom right hand of the bottom right hand part of the quadrant? On the bottom right. Because
There's understanding.
there's understanding. And your name is?
Carol.
Carol. Carol, what do you do?
I am the development manager.
Okay. Are you accepting donations?
Absolutely.
No, really, are you? When I hear foundation, I hear donations. I'm okay?
Always accepting donations.
So, Carol, are you fundamentally opposed to the donations that just like come in from the sky? Would that be okay?
That'd be great.
That you never had to call anyone and beg?
That'd be great.
Okay, Carol is capturing the essence of this, guys. When you look at the cartoon, the other 3 quadrants involve typically an investment of something, where you actually have to pay money. But the bottom 4th, on the bottom right of the quadrant, they're coming to you. They're seeking you out. Now let's just get real about this here for a second. How much does business, or Carol's nonprofit foundation, change? How much does business change, the dynamics of business, when they come to you? When they're asking for you and what you do? Does it change a little or does it change a lot? It's huge. Guys, this is the essence, and I don't want you to lose it. This is the essence of how you generate the exponential results. It's when you've got it set up so that they're coming to you. You're not submitting RFPs, you're not submitting proposals, you're not putting out ads, you're not necessarily flooding the market with email blasts or anything. Why? Because they're calling you, they're emailing you. Does that make sense? That is the essence of where the exponential results come from. And in the spirit of the branding highway, let's simplify it down to one word. And that word is pull. What do you want your brand to do? I want it to pull opportunity my way. I want it to act like a natural, organic magnet so it comes, whether it's profit, whether it's customers, whether it's opportunity, all those good things, it just rains in. Does that make sense? As opposed to push, where I'm trying to, push a rope up a hill. Does that make sense, Carol? Okay? So even in your world, there's that dynamic between push and pull. I cannot overstate or emphasize the massive amount of game-changing difference this simple idea has. In other words, there's no point implementing a brand strategy without pull being its central focus in terms of what you actually want it to do. Will it do all the other nice things we talked about? Of course. And all the other nice things are good things. But this is a pull strategy designed to create categories of one. What is the category of one? It's simple. And the photograph says it all. And that's why I like using the pictures to illustrate some of these abstract points. The category of one and the photograph says it. You're looking at a photograph that looks like a sports car, doesn't it? That's what it looks like. But it's really your business. Carol, that's your foundation. That's what it is. In other words, when you're going down that road with that much freedom and control, do you see any competitors? I don't. Dan, do you see any constabulary or government officials trying to pull you over and give you a hard time? I don't see that either. You see, you can go as fast as you want, or you can take your time and enjoy the scenery and the vistas. That, to me, is branding nirvana right there. When you've got a pull strategy working, guess what? You're on that wide open road. That's kind of how it works. Sadly, most businesses do not enjoy that level of freedom and control. The vast majority of businesses that I talk to are stuck. They're stuck in the traffic jam, and progress is painfully slow. You move along month by month, inch by inch. You only move ahead feet and yards at a time. You're not hurtling down, quote unquote, the metaphorical branding highway. So my question, logically, is, okay, if that's the scenario, well, who's busted out of this? I only want to know who's actually done this. Because if I can see what they've done, I might be able to, what's the name of your company, Dan? Vendor Lift. Do you have a business card? Just, it'll help me. In the truck. Okay. See, when you're in the traffic jam, that's where you're wasting the time and the money and the resources, and it just goes up in smoke. And you can go 5 years, guys, you can go 10 years and not even know where the years went on this journey. Okay? But I want to know who's done it. And I've identified about 85 or so organizations and companies and brands that have actually escaped that traffic jam. Now, if you wanted to learn how to do this, would you make a choice to learn from anyone but best in class, best in the world? So that's what we're exploring today. What do the best in the world do when tackling this issue? And so consequently, when I throw up a slide like this, the natural knee-jerk reaction is to look at a slide like that and say, oh, look at that. They're all different. See, they're all different. They all sell different things. They represent different causes. That's not what we're doing today. If we are truly to be counterintuitive and create categories of one, we have to ask not how they're different. We have to ask, how are they all exactly the same? What is the common? What is the shared DNA? You know, what makes, for instance, Dove soap the same as Disney or Jack Daniels? What makes Harry Potter the same as Harvard or Harley Davidson? I call them brands of distinction, and they're not like anyone else in their space. These brands of distinction follow a very specific path, and the road, the highway splits right there. The brands of distinction, that's where you're going to find the wide open freeway. All the other companies, I just like that Joey Kramer drum beat right there. I just had to hear that drum. Yeah, all the other companies are what we call badges of ownership. They're the companies they don't have a brand. They think they do because they have a logo. They think they do because they have a slogan or a tagline. but they do not have a brand. They merely have an interchangeable badge of ownership that has no differentiation and also no power or ability or capacity, proven over time, to actually create a magnetic, organic, natural pull. We are not studying what the merely average or the mediocre or even just the good ones are doing. We are only studying the common DNA of the best of the best. And then figuring out how can we take that and apply it to our enterprise. How can we take that information, that insight, and basically use it to R&D what we're doing here in Wyoming. R&D, of course, is business terminology for rob and duplicate. And that's what I tell everyone. I want you to shamelessly, please, that's why you get the workbook, that's why, shamelessly rob and duplicate everything today. I want you to be swashbuckling information and idea pirates. Please steal it. I'm an open book. Just take it and run with it. Badges of ownership versus brands of distinction. That's why Harley-Davidson's in that category as a brand. It's got nothing to do with the actual motorcycles. But as a brand, they have that wide open road. And now we segue into what we call fuel for thought, because I know when you go to sessions like this one, you want to know, what are the takeaways? You know, what are the big ideas? What are the things I can hang my hat on from an idea point of view? So we packaged them up. We've got about a dozen of them today called Fuel for Thought. Here's the first piece of fuel for thought for you today. Differentiation and relevance are speed strategies. Guys, we are playing a speed game now. Differentiation and relevance are speed strategies. Why is this important? Because when everyone answers the question, what do you want your brand to do? Guess what everyone answers? The same answer. The same word is running through every answer. No matter how you answered the question. You know, I said, what do you want your brand to do? You had 20 seconds, you wrote it down. Guess what every answer speaks to? More. We want to convey more trust. We want to have more market share, more profit, more customers, more sales, more, what was it, Dan? You said more symbolic representation of great stuff, right? Symbol of, it was very altruistic and I believed you, but you just wanted more of that. Sure. Guess what no one's thinking of, guys? No one's thinking of less. No one is thinking of less in terms of time. How long do you want to take to achieve your business and branding goals? You want to do this in 10 years? You're going to chew up another 5 or 10 and sit back and wonder where did all the time go and the money go and the effort go? Or do you want to start today and figuring out, okay, how can we do this in 2 or 3 years? Basically, that's what we're looking at. That's what we're looking at today, fundamentally on the table. It's about a 2 to 3 year process, give or take, versus 10 or more. What's the value of 7, 8, 9, 10 years? Only you can decide what the value of that is. But differentiation and relevance are about not only the more, because that's how everyone answers, but it's also about the speed. And only you can determine how valuable is your time in relation to the money. That's why I'm showing this. Because this speaks to lethargy, this speaks to being stuck. This speaks to being, where ain't going anywhere, fast. And now more than ever, as we know, the world is moving faster, even here in Wyoming, and it'll keep moving faster. What is the thing that causes this? See, this is the next thing. So I want to know, I always want to know, okay, who's busted out, number one. But number two, I want to know, okay, what causes this? And here it is. It's called category language. What is the number one cause? Undisputed number one cause is category language. What does category language sound like? Well, in my old career, because I did a lot of broadcasting for about 20 years, we can take the typical radio spot as an example of category language. What do I mean by the typical radio spot? And it's still being aired in a lot of towns and cities right across North America, and as I just found out, even in the United Kingdom. We offer fast, friendly, reliable service at affordable prices. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here Monday to Friday, 9 until 6, Saturday, 10 till 4, for your shopping convenience, quality selection, guaranteed low prices, just some of the things you can depend on and trust from your locally owned and operated value center. Convenient payment plans available. Some restrictions apply. Limited time offers. Call, drop in, and experience the difference that service selection and quality makes. What percentage of ads sound like that? Only you can decide. Under the auspices of the no quibble rule, is it 89.2% or is it 93.4%? Do we really need Montana State University to commission a study to find out how many ads are like that? Or can we just kind of sign off and say, most of them? Great. Where does an ad like that register in your personal give a shit-a-meter? No, really. See, I've never seen it happen in the course of human history where someone drove down the road, heard an ad like that, slammed on the brakes, and said, holy deep purple, Margaret, you know what in the smoke and the water did it? They got ABC companies, got friendly and knowledgeable staff, we got to turn around. This is, guys, this is white noise, this is ad speak, and it does nothing, repeat, nothing to create the kind of pull and the category of one that you're looking to create. But it's not just the radio ads, it's things like signage. Signage that you could put up yourself on your storefront, or you could pay somebody else. Geez, these platforms, they're not cheap, are they? No, that's nickels and dimes. That's dirt cheap. No, Dan's disagreeing. Dan's saying, no, that's pretty expensive. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's ludicrous, actually. I think it's expensive waste to put up empty promises, meaningless hype, unsubstantiated claims of friendly, helpful advice and service you can trust. And when all else fails, let's just put the stuff on sale. This is the language that badges of ownership, interchangeable badges of ownership, use to communicate each and every day. And it's rampant. It's a problem, but it means it's also an opportunity. These words are dead. These words are deader than dead. Rigor mortis set in like 15, 20 years ago on these words. And just so we're clear, quality, this is where clarity springs, quality is not a differentiator. You cannot communicate differentiation through the keyword. Why? Because there's 49 other players in your space saying they too have the quality piston rings, plumbing, or physiotherapy clinic in your space, whatever it is. Quality is just table stakes. Is quality essential? Yes. Is quality needed? Yes. Is it a prerequisite? Yes. It's your ticket to the ball game. That's all it is. It's your pass to the prom. I know, are there B2Bs in the room today? Anyone in the B2B space? Dan, you're in B2B space? Great. B2Bs will say, is B2B there? B2Bs will say, well, geez, we don't run radio spots. See, I know in the Vistage International community, there's lots of B2Bs, and we don't run radio spots. We don't have billboards. We're much more sophisticated than that. But you have home pages and about us sections on websites, and how crucial is the website for forming first impressions. You meet someone for the first time in a B2B situation, what do? When you meet someone for the first time or you think there's potential for business, you go check them out. That's what you do. Where do you go to check them out? Their website. What are you trying to figure out? Are you trying to figure out what they do, or are you trying to figure out, well, who are these guys for real? Are they legit? See, that's what you're asking. Well, guess what? If Dan's asking that question, well, they're asking that of Dan too, aren't they? They're doing the same thing to you every day. And what do we throw up on home pages and about us sections of websites? Well, we work with valued customers in the creation of synergistic solutions that accurately reflect their operational requirements and our core values of honesty, quality, teamwork, caring, and creativity. You see, for more than 25 years, XYZ has provided leading-edge solutions, and as an integrated provider, we aspire to the highest level of integrity for all of our stakeholders. How is this different from the radio spot? Or is it exactly the same? Only now we've just taken category language and we're using fancy business buzzwords, and it's really the language of the mission statement. That's all it is, guys. Language of the mission statement. Where did that come from? Who invented that? I think it goes back to the 80s. I think it's the management consulting world. I think someone in management consulting figured out when they invented words like paradigm and synergy, we could convince CEOs and their teams to go to mountaintops for 3 days. They would spend 3 days on mountaintops with flip charts, and they would craft the mission statement. And then they would take the flip charts and turn them into stone tablets and come down from the mountains, and they would put them on the walls of companies. Has anyone ever seen those stone tablets? And they would write big checks to the management consultants for those very valuable stone tablets, which are now plastered on home pages of websites. Everyone feels good, but ain't nothing getting done. Can anyone relate to this? When are we going to stop? When are we going to start demanding more, not only of the people we work with, but of ourselves? Can we not do better? And sorry, someone, I hate to say it, but I think it was someone in the marketing world that figured this one out. By the way, the language of the mission statement, just so we're clear, the language of the mission statement is no different than the language of the Miss America pageant. Same thing. Miss America, every year, gets up to deliver her speech. And as she goes to that microphone, more than anything, what does she fervently hope and pray for?
World peace.
Who said world peace? Was it you? It was you, wasn't it? What's your name?
Jen.
Jen. What are you doing, Jen?
I run the medical foundation at the hospital.
Of course you believe in world peace. You run the medical foundation. Jen. See, I believe in world peace too. Jen, we're the same, aren't we? We both believe in world peace. See, I never have to finish the line. Someone else always says it. But what happens in your category when the Dans of the world are looking you up and realizes, oh my goodness, there's 49 other providers. Guess what they believe in too? World peace. Yeah. And then there's this one. Again, I think it came from the marketing world. I got an idea. What? You see, the people who work at this company, they're not very physically attractive. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get photographs of much more physically attractive people, complete with all of the racial profiling and demographics. And we'll put that on the home page of the website. And no one will ever know. No one, guys, no one will figure this out. Will they? And those millennials coming up, oh, we've got them fooled. They won't see through all this smoke and mirror stuff. Because nobody today is media savvy. Are you kidding? Like, are you for real? And then we'll put personal and professional service next to the stock photography. Yeah, I think we can do a lot better. And I think what we're running into, guys, we laughed at the Mad Men style of marketing from the late 1950s and the early 1960s, didn't we? We as a group, and every group I speak to, whether it's in North America or in Europe, does exactly the same thing. We look back 50 years ago and we go, what? How dumb were they? How long is it going to take? How long do you give it before sessions like this one and business conversations like this one lead to looking back at what were they thinking about their category language and their white noise and their generic ad speak and their stock photography and their mission statement language. How long do you give it, guys? Given the way the world's changing. I don't give it long at all. I don't think we have much time to fix this. Which means this is a huge opportunity. In your workbooks, we're going to do an exercise. It's on page 8. It's called Category Language. Dan, can I use you to demonstrate this? Since you're right here in the front row? Okay. Dan, how big is your company?
4 people.
4 people? Do you have lots of competitors?
No.
You do not. Okay, sorry Dan, you're disqualified. I need someone who's got a 10 to 12 person company with a whole whack of competitors. Who's that person? Who's that person, guys? I got the front row working, but someone's got to get involved here in the back. Right over here, what's your name?
Todd.
Todd? Todd, did we meet earlier? No?
No.
No, okay, sorry, Todd. So what's your company?
Pinnacle Bank.
Pinnacle Bank. Perfect, Todd. Let's stand up and let's you and I do this. Okay, so grab the sheet. Okay, Todd from Pinnacle Bank. So lots of banks in the state and other states, right?
Lots of banks.
Lots of banks. Banks are banks, aren't they? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Just for fun, and this is what I'm sharing with you right now, guys, is process, and if I show you how to do it, you can bring this back to the Pinnacle Bank. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the first thing you can do. Do you have some of your people here already?
Our marketing specialist.
Perfect. And how many people work inside your bank in terms of your brain trust, in terms of your senior management team?
Oh, 20.
20?
Yeah, for the state.
For the state?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So you can take out of that 20, sometimes, so guys, I look at brain trust sometimes it's 5, 6, 7 people, sometimes it's 10 people, whatever the number is that are most responsible for leading the way. Does that make sense, Todd? In terms of the overall direction. Here's a quick and easy exercise you can do. Now, does everyone have like an electronic device? Do you have a laptop? Do you have a cell phone? Who's got a device? Grab your devices right now and go online. Like, you know how a lot of sessions you go to and they say, put the phones away? This one, Todd, we're actually saying, take them out. Okay? Take them out. So who's this gal right here?
I'm Ashley.
Ashley, nice to meet you. Ashley, can you stand as well with your device? Perfect. So Ashley's got a device. Todd and Ashley are demonstrating for everyone how this exercise will work. I will show you how the exercise works, and then what do after today? You take it back to the shop and do it. We did this with Seaton and his team yesterday, and with Forrest and the team at GF Harvest, and it's an incredibly revealing exercise, and it will take you about, what, Forrest, half an hour maybe? But the information you get from it is priceless. And we just did this yesterday, and now I'll teach you guys how to do it, and Todd and Ashley will be our demonstrators. Does that make sense to everyone? So anyone can do this. So here's how it works. In your imagination, picture the 6 or 7 or 10 people around a table, and everyone, instead of a device, has a laptop. It works better when you bring it back to the company and everyone's got a laptop because you can see more stuff, you can copy and paste easier than the device. Does that make sense? Okay. Now here's what you're going to do. This exercise right now is as simple as 1, 2, 3. We're going to take the course of one song. We're going to play one song. Okay, Todd? And we're going to...
nervous.
No. You don't have to be. We're going to play one song. Todd, you're going to study 2 websites of your competitors. Got it?
Got it.
And you will answer 3 questions on page 8. One song, 2 competitor websites, don't name names, 3 questions. Pretty simple, isn't it, Ashley? It's 1, 2, 3. Since you're from the same company, will Ashley study the same 2 websites as you, or will she do 2 different websites? What do you think, Todd?
Not the same.
No, she'll do the 2 different ones. See, and if we had the 10 people around the table from Pinnacle Bank, or whatever the number is, everyone's taking 2 sites, which means in the course of a song, you could have intel on like 20 websites of your competitors. Does that make sense? That's all we're doing right now, guys. We are taking inventory. We are kicking ass and taking names. Does that make sense? All you gotta do, have I explained it? Does everyone understand? In this exercise, one song. Go to 2 competitor websites and ask yourself, and just start to take inventory. Geez, between the 2 sites, what are the common headlines, words, and phrases that I'm seeing? What are the common visual elements that I'm seeing between these 2 sites? Okay? What's the common positioning or the themes? In your case, it's banks, isn't it? That's all we're looking at. Does that make sense? And let's just take the course of one song and figure out, with 2 competitors, what we're answering in terms of these 3 questions. Does that make sense? Perfect. Thanks, Todd and Ashley. That was mine. Okay. Perfect. got? Test. There we go. All right, who's noticing some commonalities on page 8? Who can share something? Over here.
Ways to give our community secure, enhanced, quality.
So they're enhancing quality. Okay, Todd, what do you see?
I didn't have my device, so I'll have.
Convenience, safety, community.
So banks are all about safety, convenience, and community. At least those two.
Yep.
Okay? Anyone else just notice anything that's kind of interesting? Over here.
I work for Habitat for Humanity, and so of course all the sites look the same.
Right.
to me. But every site has donate, apply, volunteer, and learn.
Okay, and they are all but eco-friendly too, I bet.
Yes,
And sustainable.
yes.
Right.
Colors are blue and green.
Colors are all blue and green. Okay. Anyone else just notice something that's kind of, geez, these are the same?
They all seem to have scrolling photos across.
Sort of scrolling photos?
Scrolling photos and everything.
Okay.
TripAdvisor quotes,
Oh, TripAdvisor quotes. So what space are you in?
museums.
Museums. So they're putting up those TripAdvisor testimonials. Right? Okay. I was in Edmonton, Alberta, March 21st, the day before I came to Billings, Montana. And I kid you not, I'll never forget this guy. His name was Cody. He was the CEO of a company that made high-end woodcraft products like tables, hutches, chairs, you know, really like nice stuff. And he did this exercise, and in one song, in the space of one song, he realized between him and the two competitors he checked out, all three of them were the world's finest. No, they were all three in Edmonton, Alberta, within a 100-kilometer radius. They were all the world's finest. It's kind of like that scene out of Elf. Remember Will Ferrell and Elf? When Elf goes to the city, what did he find? What was it? The world's best, what was that?
Coffee, cup of coffee.
The world's best. You guys made the world's best cup of coffee. Why am I showing you this exercise? Why? Why do I want Todd and Ashley to bring this back to the Pinnacle Bank and everyone do it the same way that we just did at GF Harvest yesterday? Why?
Figure out that differentiation.
Here's how it plays out, guys. Here's how it plays out. Todd and Ashley, you can see it now in your imagination. You can see the team huddled around. You can see, let's say, 10 people with 10 laptops, couldn't you? And instead of 2 websites, maybe everyone's going to check 4. I don't know what the number is, but do the math. You guys are in banking, you're really good at it, right? So do the math. In a half an hour, could they look at 40 websites as a team? Could they? Sure they could. Then what are they going to take? And that's why I said shamelessly rob, duplicate, pilfer, plunder. Do it all. You take the one pager from page 8 and you photocopy that to your heart's content or whatever it is, and you just teach people like we're doing right now, and you say, okay, out of these 40 websites, now let's go on the flip charts and let's inventory all the words that are all the same. Okay? And it wouldn't take long, would it, to have flip charts that speak to, well, those are the common words, flip charts that speak to sheets of paper that say those are the common, visual elements, and then there's the common positioning, in other words, in half an hour, whether it's Pinnacle Bank or anyone, all this quote-unquote writing could be on the wall, couldn't it? This is one of the most simple yet powerful exercises you can bring back to your company today. You can do it Monday morning. You can do it, and it doesn't take any facilitator to do this. You don't need an expert. All you need to do is use good old-fashioned common sense. And here's how it plays out. Once all that information is up on the wall, for real, like you actually went in and looked for real, what do you think your physical and emotional reaction might be to what you're seeing on the wall?
Just like everybody else.
oh my goodness, we're just like everybody else. Well, everyone's telling me differentiation is like a big deal here, okay? That's what everyone says. Until you do the exercise and literally read the writing on the wall, you will not experience the level of emotional pain and discomfort that comes from realizing, shit, we're just like everybody else, claiming to be different with our quality, service, selection, and value. In your imagination, I want you to go to that place. This is not my place, this is your place. But in your imagination, you go to that place, you see all that stuff on the wall. Now you go like this. You go, we have a choice. We have a choice. We can be like that, we can fall into that, or we can do something else. That's the choice, isn't it, guys? That's not anyone else's choice to make, but yours. But just so we're clear, all that stuff on the wall, that's the traffic jam. That's what that is. That's the world of the badge of ownership. It's all interchangeable. It's all homogenized. It's all generic. Doesn't really say anything of any interest to anyone, but yet that's how we talk in business. Does that make sense? But then now we're into choice. And it's a strategic choice. And I don't think it's a marketing choice, guys. Honestly, this is a leadership choice. This is a leadership issue. It is not marketing. Marketers are going to do what marketers do based on what leadership tells them to do. Does that make sense? As leaders, you have every right to expect more, demand more, but guess who's got to make that decision? And it's common sense. Guys, if everyone zigs, you could what? Zag. Boom. If everyone talks like that, well, now we know what we're not going to be. That's what the writing on the wall demonstrates. But that's a leadership issue saying, hey, that's not who we are. If you want to be like that, be my guest. Only the caveat is you ain't pulling away from the rest of the crowd and becoming a category of one anytime soon. Does that make sense? There's trade-offs in this strategy. And that's why we spend so much time here at Clarity Springs just to get our head wrapped around what this is really all about. And so consequently, if everyone zigs, we make a decision to zag. Okay? You can already see the next question. What does that look like? I don't know. And I want you to get comfortable with the I don't know part. You don't need to know right now in this instant. What you need to know is what you don't want to be. As soon as you make a decision to decide what you're not going to be, you now open up the possibility to go start exploring what you could be. Does that make sense to anyone? Don't worry about what it needs to be right now. Because it takes a little time to figure this out. So far, so good? Perfect. Differentiation. Differentiation's the issue on the table. We said differentiation and relevance are speed strategies. It is impossible to create a full strategy, category of one, brand of distinction, without differentiation. Now, if I'm not careful, here's what happens. I'll use a word like that, and that word quickly will morph into more what I call marketing speak. I don't do marketing speak. I just try and still speak like English. Okay? If that's okay with everyone? So, when I look at that word, though, I can see that I see the danger zone of this word. So what does differentiation look like? And for words to really understand their meaning, we have to go past what they mean in the dictionary. Because words mean more than what's in a dictionary. They actually mean something in our imagination, in our hearts, in the way we, conceptualize things. So I'm more interested in differentiation from the point of view of not just as what it means, but more importantly, what does it actually feel like? And this is what differentiation feels like. It certainly felt that way in 1975. Blasting out of New York City, Charlie. There was nothing like it. Now, did anyone here in Powell, Wyoming go to a KISS show at any one time? Anyone? James, you've been to a KISS show? Oh, there's a guy in the back. Anyone want to go to a KISS show?
Yes.
Have you gone to a KISS show? Which tour? The Love Gun Tour. So, believe it or not, there's also people who not only have been to KISS shows and want to go to KISS shows, but there's also people that don't want to go to KISS shows ever. They wouldn't go across the street, Dan. They wouldn't go across the street for this theatrical production. Now, here's the thing. KISS has been on the road for more than 4 decades. They're much more than a band. They are a brand. The actual genesis of the strength of the brand as a pull strategy, believe it or not, comes out of Terre Haute, Indiana, with the creation of the KISS Army by 2 maniacal fans who threatened to blow up the local radio station unless they started playing KISS records and they wrote notes in. I mean, Homeland Security would have fun with these guys today. But they were writing in notes because they had, they were generals and colonels in the KISS Army, and the radio station folded because there's an army, you see. And that's how they got the KISS records played in Terre Haute, Indiana. It became larger than life, this whole KISS thing. From a brand perspective, it's the biggest in the world of classic rock. Over 3,000 merchandise products, licenses, $500 million business. They've got everything from condoms to caskets. Gene Simmons told me himself, we've got everything to keep you coming and going. And then 6 years ago, I did this conference with Gene Simmons, big branding conference, casino, East Coast, 700 people. And so here's the dealio. Gene Simmons is the headliner, and I'm the opening act. So I got to go on in front of about 700 suits in a business audience and basically help them see the relevance of what Gene's going to do in his keynote and then how it relates to their business. And I share with you today the same thing I shared that night, which is KISS is a purple cow. From a business perspective, KISS is a purple cow. Seth Godin wrote the book in 2004. It's the product or service that is remarkable. That's what it is. And the metaphor going down the branding highway that Seth Godin used was that if you were driving down a country road and you passed farm after farm after farm, after a while, all the brown and black cows would look the same. He says the same thing is going on in every single business category. After a while, all the people who sell everything from insurance to the lawyers to the accountants to the car dealerships to everything from the baker to the candlestick maker, they all basically look and sound the same. But then you drive down the country road and then you pass a farm that has the purple cow. Now, who's that going to be today? Who's our guy, Seaton?
Sorry, gluten-free oats.
Gluten-free oats. Already a bit of a purple cow. All right, I think it's going to be this guy right here. What's your name? Mike. What do you do, Mike?
I work at Powell.
Well, I just see that you've got the kind of,
I got the color.
it's got a bit of the color, right? So it's Mike,
And it's on.
and he's got the socks. Look at that, right? Sometimes this material just writes itself, right? So it's not often you run into someone legit, okay? So what was the name of the thing again?
Powell.
Powell, what do you do there?
VP of Physician Services.
Okay, great. So Mike is driving down the country road. I want you to see this in your imagination. Mike's driving down a country road, and he's passing farm after farm after farm, and he hits this one farm with a purple cow. What's Mike likely to do? What's he going to do, guys? He's going to stop. He's going to pull over. Mike might have on expensive shoes. He's still going to run out into that pasture with his device and do what? Take a selfie. Isn't he? Yeah. He can't believe it. He passed the farm with the purple cow. There it is, for real, no one's going to believe me, I'll take the selfie, upload it to my Facebook, my, Snapface, Instagram account, whatever it is, right? That's what he's going to do. Twitter, right? That's what you're going to do. Okay, so guys, why, the question is why is Mike going to do this? Why will Mike change his whole behavior and not get the milk and eggs and the bread from the grocery store right away because he's got to check out this purple cow? Why is he doing this, guys?
He doesn't know how long it'll be there.
He doesn't know how long it's going to be there. Why is Mike pulling over the side of the road? Because it's different. Right, we've established that. We know it's different, but that doesn't explain why he's doing this. It's cool, but it doesn't explain why him. Look, guys, please, would you all look at Mike? Here's what I want you to do. This is a real life lab now, ready? With Mike as the guinea pig. But you're in the medical business, so you're okay with that. I want everyone to turn their chairs, adjust their seating and their eye contact, and everyone look at Mike. Like, seriously. I want Mike to be the focal point of 50 people in this room. Do not look at me. Just stare at Mike. Here we go. Stare at Mike.
He's going from purple to red.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Stare at Mike, because you will never forget this for as long as you live. The real reason. And everyone's right. Everyone's feedback is right. It's different, this, that, the other thing. But the real reason Mike pulls over to the side of the road, don't look at me, you gotta look at him. The real reason, and you're all studying the specimen right now, Mike is a human.
That's not right, Sharon.
That's it. Oh, look at it. Look, that's a human, guys. Guys, check it out. That's a human being. What does the human being have? Thoughts, feelings, emotions, biases, yes? Will the human engage in irrational behavior? Of course. See, look at Mike and see, that's not a statistic. That's not another piece of data. That's not something that we just chart on an Excel spreadsheet or we put into a sales forecast. That is not a calculation. That's not a number. That's a real person. And I think we have forgotten this totally in the world of quote-unquote marketing. A real person has to actually pull over at the side of the road because of something they saw. Does that make sense? Yeah. If we can't make that real person, the real human, like Mike, pull over at the side of the road, I don't think we got anything to measure. I see the business world today so focused on measurement, analytics, data, as thinking, oh, we'll just shortcut, or there's got to be a shortcut. There's got to be a hack. I know. We'll go to the magic keyword store. That's what we'll do. We'll go to the magic keyword store, and that way we'll trick eyeballs like Mike into stopping by. Of course, none of our competitors, none of them, they would never think of going to the magic keyword store or getting all kinds of SEO or any of that, would they? Never. No, they would never think of that. Guys, branding with distinction, the kind of pull that we're trying to create, the category of one we want to create, it is much more biological than mathematical. Why? Because there's going to be a human being actually involved at the heart of this. And we have totally, in my opinion, lost sight of what is and what is not real remarkability. Now, the purple cow, if I'm not careful, people will kiss, whether you like the music or not. What are they? That's remarkability through, and you don't have to like the music, but you can't argue with the track record of 4 decades. This is not one-hit wonder. And brands of distinction, and that's why KISS is in the conversation. It's not brands of distinction. Harley-Davidson, KISS, Virgin, are those one-hit wonders? There's no Billy Ray Cyrus there, guys. There's no achy breaky heart. Right? These have been proven to last over time, which again is the only thing we're studying here on this journey. What has been proven to work over time. Okay, so let's go on the metaphorical road trip. Let's go to Maranello, Italy. See, if I'm not careful teaching the purple cow, people will think, well, the purple cow means it's got to be like off the wall, or zany, or flamboyant. Okay, Maranello, Italy. Has anyone been? Anyone want to go? Who'd be down for that trip? Yeah, Maranello, Italy. There's a purple cow right there. There it is. It's not her, right? But it is a purple cow. But Ferrari is a purple cow for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the automobiles, but they do about 1.5 billion a year, billion with a B, in profit just from the sale of merchandise and licensing programs. They are, again, undisputed number one, and since 1947, Ferrari has achieved branding excellence, one of the most admired and respected brands in the world, without spending a nickel on traditional radio, TV advertising. Okay, great. Let's keep going. Since we're over across the pond in Europe, let's go to St. Andrews, Scotland. What's the purple cow that lives in St. Andrews, Scotland, guys? It's the home of golf. It's the old course. Well, I was just there like 2 weeks ago. Anyone else want to go to that one? Who's been there? Did you play? Did you play? You played the Jubilee. Yeah. Did you see the lineup for people who want to go play the old course? Yeah. And it's not cheap to go play the old course. They are lined up sometimes as early as 4 o'clock in the morning just to get one of the daily ballots. Okay? But there's the purple cow. What did we say? We said, what's going to make Mike pull over at the side of the road? Isn't that the line we used? Well, guess what? At St. Andrews, Scotland, there's nothing flashy, nothing flamboyant. It is 700 years of history, I'll give you that. It's the birthplace of golf. But you'll never see a shortage of people, non-golfers, by the way. And what are they doing? They're actually stopping, getting out of their car. And we were all doing this in our imagination, weren't we, with Mike? We were doing this in our imagination with Mike, saying, oh, it's all fun and games. It's in our, wait a second, people do this. You would see it in the state of Wyoming, I'm sure, at Yellowstone. Old Faithful, do they do it? Is Old Faithful a purple cow? Sure is. Absolutely. Okay, let's go to London, Ontario. Because right now, you're saying to yourself, let's see, I'm not a rock star with grease paint and 7-inch platform shoes. I don't sell expensive luxury Italian sports cars, and I don't have the holy grail of golf anywhere in my company. Does that make sense? I don't have 700 years of history. Okay, great. In London, Ontario, my new hometown as of nearly 2 years ago, meet Ron Kraft Auto Care. Ron Kraft Auto Care, mom and pop gas station, they employ about 10 people. They sell petroleum. There's nothing different about their petroleum than anyone else, is there? And gas is gas. You think if you can create a purple cow out of a gas station, a mom and pop gas station, maybe, what do you think? Maybe it can be done anywhere? So at Ron Kraft Auto Care, when we moved to London, Ontario, we realized this place was 5 minutes around the corner from our front door. And we've never stopped going back. Why? Because at Ron Kraft Auto Care, not only do they pump the gas, they also actually have the dog treats right there at the pumps. Now, would you believe there are certain customers that will go out of their way and pay 3 or 4 or 5 cents more a liter just so Theodore and Sophie can get little treats from Ron Kraft Auto Care? Now, would you believe that's possible, guys? There's about 400 gas stations in southwestern Ontario in like a 50-kilometer radius. But there's only one doing this. What's the business result? What was that part? Mike, we talked about exponential result. We're in the exponential result class last time I checked. Ron Kraft Auto Care, 6 years ago, when they started handing out the treats, they were doing about 500,000 liters of gas a year. 6 years later, that number has climbed to nearly 3 million liters of gas. If the Mikes of the world are going there, humans, are going there to buy more gas, what else are they buying? What do you think? Brake jobs, oil changes, all other kinds of maintenance things, okay? This is what's happening. This is the question you've got to bring back from today. How are we going to actually inspire people to pull over? It doesn't matter what we're selling. If they don't pull over, we've got nothing to measure. Does that make sense? Stop worshiping at the altar of measurement and data and analytics and thinking the magic keyword store is just going to solve everything. Actually create something that would make people pull over. Let's go to Seattle, Washington. This one I know is familiar to a lot of people in the western states. What do we see in Seattle, Washington? Pike's Place Fish Market. Imagine, Pike's Place Fish Market. What are they selling, guys? Fish. Has anyone actually been there? Who's never heard of Pike's Place Fish Market? Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Pure commodity, Dan. Fish. But it's how they sell the fish. You see, that's what makes Pike's Place Fish Market so different.
We noticed that we can make a difference for people. Like when they come by, they leave in a better mood. And a lot of people have told us that we made their day.
You don't have to throw fish. You just have to have the energy. You have to have the commitment. You have to have fun. You have to have fun at work.
Now, if I've been to Pike Place and have seen this, I've seen it twice. Some of you have seen it. Mike, did you see it?
Yeah.
You did see it. I would say what, 500 to 600 square feet? Huh?
Yeah, it's not very big.
It's not very big, okay? But what are the business results, guys? Business results. That's a $10 million a year operation out of 500 to 600 square feet. Retail profit margin per square foot is through the roof. It's off the North American charts. How much are they spending on traditional ads like radio, TV, billboards? What's the ad spend, guys? 0. Okay? What is the spend on how do we get good people to come work for us? What's that? 0. Who likes this as a business model? Well, you put me down, right? Okay, great. But also, and Mike will tell you this, and anyone who's been there will tell you, they're not alone in that market. In that public market, there's 8 or 9 other competitors. And we just did the category language exercise. And you don't have to go find a competitor at the fish market that's promising the world's most fabulous, famous, freshest, and finest fish. With the help wanted sign. Meanwhile, what's going over down the hallway? We're going to take a break here in a couple of minutes, but I want to wrap up the first part with you studying this photograph. Let me see if I understand what's going on. Pike Place Fish Market is selling a pure commodity. Yes or yes? That's what they're selling. Pure commodity. Great. They're having a little fun doing it. Let me see if I understand. They are doing it in an environment that is cold, wet, and smelly, and yet they're getting no shortage of people who want to go to work there. Is that what's happening? They have no problem finding highly engaged, highly motivated people. They also are sharing something through the power of this particular photograph that is now relevant for your business. There's something going on in the photograph that is extremely relevant to your business today. What is it? And this is the beauty of the branding highway. Everyone's got the right answer, right? It's energy, it's engagement, people are having fun. But there's something going on relevant to your business, and I need to push you to that place so you see it with eye-popping clarity. We are at Clarity Springs. You've got to be able to see this and never forget it. There's something going on relevant to your business like today. They're not taking pictures of the Pepsi logo. They're taking a picture of the fish.
It's engagement.
Yep. Yep. Keep going.
They're building an event, building memories.
Keep going, Dan. People are going there to see them. Keep going. Someone else said something to
Building
that.
memories, building an event.
They're building an event. See, everyone's right. Everyone's right. But I got to push you to the place where... Whoa, who said that? Say that again. What's your name? Scott. Scott, ladies and gentlemen, is now officially the smartest person in the room. Would you please applaud Scott? Guys, see it for what it is. Who votes for this? How do we get the customer to do the marketing? This is the question that changes every marketing conversation in your company from this day forward. What does every customer have right in their pocket? A radio station, a TV station, whatever you want to call it, it's right in their pocket. You see it now? What's going on? This is happening every single day. Every day. Thousands of people are doing this for those guys selling fish. Your only real impediment right now is imagination, but you won't get there unless you realize, wait a second, this changes everything. Why? Because of the way the world is today. The world is full of, well, here, and just so you know, I think we've got to go past, and I know in business language, we've fallen in love with things like customer experience and customer engagement, but I invented a new word. It's called customer advocation. I think we have to be so focused now on how do we actually make the customer the advocate. Why? Because you're getting pounded every single day in your inbox and on your social media feeds. Your whole day is a dance between delete and scroll. Isn't that it? We get 100 plus emails a day. What do we do with 98, 99% of them? What do we do? Delete. And then on our social media feeds, doesn't matter what the platform is, we scroll. So it's the delete and scroll dance. Delete and scroll, that's how we rock and roll, right? That's how it kind of works. The whole world is doing this. But wait a second, whoa! Hold the phone. Whoa! Whoa, Scott. Scott's our guy. He is going through his inbox or his social media feed, and there it is. He's not deleting that. He's taking another look. It could be a TED Talk. It could be a written blog. Could be a video blog. Could be a photograph, quote card. Who knows what it is? But Scott's not deleting it. He's going, oh my goodness, I like this. This is interesting. This is inspiring. This is intriguing. This is entertaining. This is educational. This is riveting. What does Scott do with that piece of content, guys? He does what?
Shares.
He can't keep it to himself. Mike the human, and Scott, the other human, cannot keep this to themselves. Guys, Seth Godin wrote Purple Cow in 2004 prior to Facebook and YouTube. Seth was way ahead of his time. The Purple Cow is not only remarkable, it's the product or service or the person or the place that's remarkable. It's now, in 2017, it's share-worthy. If you're producing content and you aren't getting any shares, no one's sharing your stuff, what is the market now screaming at you?
The same as everybody else.
They're telling you, you have a brown and black cow. And we don't share brown and black cows, we delete them, or we scroll by them. You see, the market is always speaking. It's either loud or it's deafening silence. And if you're producing content, like I said, that no one is anxious to whip out their device and tell somebody in the world about it, then that is the opportunity to rethink everything that we're doing. I'm on a mission right now to eradicate the boring company newsletter. I see companies all the time spend all kinds of time, money, energy on basically boring company newsletters, and I'm asking why, especially if there are no shares. See, likes and comments are nice. Don't get me wrong. Likes and comments are nice, but likes and comments are nickels and dimes. Shares are $1,000 bills. And Mike the human will only share that which is purple. Just like Scott, just like every other human being on the planet. The Pope of the iPod, Steve Jobs, told us back in 1997, think different. That's why I said earlier, these are uncommon universal elements that fuel uncommon universal success. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter that it's the Pope of the iPod. Doesn't matter that it's a prolific painter named Picasso or a poetic pugilist like Muhammad Ali who used to float like a butterfly, and it's all the same stuff. And so consequently what you have as we pull up to the rest stop here on the Branding Highway, you have this unmistakable clarity by now that it didn't matter whether it was the gas station in London, Ontario, world famous Pike Place Fish Market, St. Andrews, Scotland, KISS, Ferrari. Do you see categories of one? Do you see pull strategy? Do you see people actually pulling over to the side of the road and going to them? Well, if you think about it that way, the possibilities are enormous once we recognize, hey, where's the purple cow for us to either create or talk about or, position in such a way that it will actually make people pull over to the side of the road and that real human beings will rally around what we do. That's the essence of what we're going to explore. When we come back from this break, 2-song break by the way, 2 songs. When we come back from this break, you'll see the story of the company that was no different than any of you, that comes from one of the worst business categories you can imagine and is actually doing this each day. And so on that note, let's take a break, let's pause for a 2-song stretch, and we'll come back with more. Founding CEO in the room. I got Dan over here. Zach, we haven't talked to you yet, have we? Zach, how long has your company been around?
About 7 months.
Oh, so you're new, like?
Brand new.
Brand new. Okay, that's a good thing for me to know. Who else is founding CEO? Just looking around the room. Founding CEO? I got Zach, I got Dan. Forrest, we know your story. Okay, great. Is everyone having fun so far? You learning anything? Some of the stuff making sense? Okay, great. Here's the disclosure. Time for disclosure. Disclosure and potential confession. I actually have no formal training, qualifications, or background in this subject called marketing. Yeah, I never worked in an ad agency. I never worked for a marketing company. I don't have a degree. I am uniquely unqualified to be speaking on this subject. I hope you're okay with that. Yeah, I don't have any background in this at all. I am the son of a former pro golfer. My dad was born 7 minutes from the first tee at St. Andrews in Scotland. So Dad was a Scottish schoolboy champion. There he is there. And he came to Canada at a very early age after winning dozens of tournaments over there. And he's still with us. He's 77 years old. We played golf last summer, and he shot 75. I'm lucky to break 100. So as a kid growing up in Eastern Canada, in a small town, I'm a hockey nut. And I was just an okay skater, but I loved road hockey. Since December 23rd, 1972, lifelong fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, thanks to Franco Harris and the Immaculate Reception. So proud member of Steeler Nation. And for reasons I still don't understand, I, as a kid, became a bit of a history buff, military buff, World War II. Like, I'm endlessly fascinated by D-Day, June 6, 1944, Operation Overlord, where the entire fate of the world hung in the balance for about 6 to 8 hours. I leave high school, I get into broadcast journalism. I was a reporter. We're the radio guys. There we go, there's the whole radio corner back there. And so I was the guy that did, I covered school board meetings and city council meetings and murder trials and political rallies, and I had my own open line show, and then I did work in different operations up in Canada, and for a time I did over 1,000 games of play-by-play in the American Hockey League, which is second best league in the world with affiliates of the Calgary Flames, Winnipeg Jets, and Edmonton Oilers. I was that guy who had his own TV show, and so kind of like big fish in a small public pond. And then it was May 21st, 1999, a 20-year career comes to a crashing end. Terminated in 2 sentences on company letterhead. 15 minutes to gather stuff, leave the building, and within a week, broke, busted, unemployment line, no severance, hoping not to be recognized, and then go home, there it is, dismissal story, plastered, front page of the only paper in a 2-station town. Decided to leave broadcasting altogether, jump into the complete unknown. Soft skills business training. Knew nothing about the world of business because 20 years in the media, that's the only thing I did. You didn't actually have to know anything, believe it or not. You just had to tell stories and talk about others in terms of their triumphs, their trials, their tribulations, their tragedies. I get into the world of business, and I'm working with these small companies and their people on things like customer service training and team building, and all of these things I'm learning as I go with very small companies, and then I'm realizing, and it didn't happen all at once, but I'm realizing, wait a second, I don't really care anymore about the politicians, the athletes, the celebrities, the newsmakers. What I'm sharing with you right now is I found new heroes. Getting fired was the best gift of all because it allowed me to get fired up and see new possibilities, new horizons, and identify with new heroes. Yeah, right there. That photograph to me captures what I think is the backbone of our economies, both up in Canada and here in the U.S. It's the business person. The business person who's, whether it's CEO, startup entrepreneur, senior manager, executive, whatever you want, it's that guy and gal. Those, to me, those are the heroes. Why? Because, let me see if I understand, they operate basically in virtual anonymity. They've got to, as the photograph would suggest, think globally, act locally, connect the dots between about 36 different business disciplines. They will be routinely second-guessed, criticized for every decision they ever make. They have to make decisions that actually impact people. They have to carry all the burden of responsibility for the people they work with in terms of family, staff, payroll, etc., and if you're the owner, you got to take all the risk. And don't expect the government to help you out too much along the way. Is that basically it? Or am I missing anything? Yeah. Self-started, self-motivated individuals who are trying to make a difference in the world. And also trying to make a living and support the economies that we all, are part of. And so it's in that spirit that I share with you the story of one of my favorite heroes. So one of my favorite heroes is a guy you're going to hear about, but it starts like any good story with these famous 4 words that we used to hear when we got tucked into bed at night. Once upon a time. Once upon a time there was a business category, and it was the worst business category in the land. Yes, if it was a fairy tale, you could call it the worst business category in the entire kingdom. What would that be? What would be the worst business category in the land? Help me out. What is it? Worse than lawyers. Worse than accountants. Used cars. Congratulations. Yes. Because right away, what our knee-jerk, instant perceptions of this category, what do we perceive right away? Please don't be shy. Shout them out. I want to feel what that feels like to have 50 people on the count of 3. On the count of 3, shout out your instant perception. 1, 2, 3. You see, I promised. I did a 2-week speaking tour in the UK last year, and I did 3 weeks, just wrapped it up. Okay, and every audience in the United Kingdom, because they have used car lots over there too. Every audience, believe it or not, in about, I don't know, 20 different cities that I have experienced has the same one-word characterization for people in this category, and I'll share with you now. They see these people as dodgy. They're dodgy. So try it out. You got to try it out with a thick British accent, guys. Ready? Dodgy. They're all dodgy. Little sketchy. Yeah, exactly. So, and how do they speak to us? How do they speak to us? What is the specific category language in that space? 0.9% financing, all makes and models, no credit, no problem. Everything below factory invoice. It's the total vehicle elimination inventory blowout. This weekend only. Isn't that it? And so it doesn't take long to summarize it with those 3 words. There is no pull strategy in this, guys, at all. You see it, guys? There is no pull strategy. There is no category of one. There's no purple cow. There's none of that. I want you to meet Jim Gilbert. Jim is that guy that started way back, nearly 30 years ago. He's the guy from the corner lot. And when I met Jim in 2002, I met him at a Chamber of Commerce function, and he comes up afterwards in 2002, introduces himself, and just so you know, Jim is a character right out of Seinfeld because he's a low talker. Yeah, he's not going to talk. I met Sue. Sue, if you're ever in a conversation with Jim, you better hope you know outside noises. He's just not going to talk very loud. All right? Jim's a very heart-filled guy. In fact, when I met him, the day I met him, he hands me his business card. It said it right there on the card. It said, "The glow of one warm thought is to me worth more than anything. Thank you." And he's introducing himself as a used car guy, and I'm thinking, that's a little kumbaya on the card. You know, I'm a little too touchy-feely here, but okay, I'll go along with it. So long story short, it's 2002. Jim says we should start working together on some of this soft skills stuff you're doing, and boom, we're in business together, and I'm helping him out. And just for the record, the baseline, here's where we're starting from. In 2002, he's got 5 or 6 people working there, including him and his wife, and they're moving about 10 to 12 cars a month. They're doing about 1.5, 1.8 million in annual revenue. All right? So fast forward 2006. It is April of 2006. So from 2002 to April 2006, we're talking under the no quibble about, give or take, 4 years. Okay? April 2006, Donna comes in, and she's the one who runs the books. She's even more of a low talker than Jim. And she's running the books, and she's writing the checks. And she's writing checks for media companies, radio stations, newspapers, all these things, the weekly flyers, all these things that they're doing. The conversation we get into is pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. And the question on the table, and they're looking at me for the answer, the question on the table is, how much bang for the buck, return on investment, are we getting for all these ads? Is it working? And they're looking at me. And I got to look at them and I got to say, I honestly don't know the answer. Because, with respect, I actually don't have a marketing background. I have a journalistic background. I'm learning a few things about business. But I got to tell the truth. I got to say, I don't know the answer, but I had just come back from a road trip, because we've all been on road trips. I went on this road trip. I just came back. I said, but I think I know where we can find the answer. That I was pretty sure. So that's how it played out. We booked flights. We started traveling in search of the answer. So we're talking thousands of miles of air travel. We're talking thousands of dollars. Just so you know, this was not cheap. Jim cut a big check for this. And we're in search of an idea. That's all we're after is an idea. But we think it's going to change everything. April turns to May, June, July, August, September. We've been on the road trip. We got the idea. Now, do we know if this is going to work or not? What do you think? There is no guarantee that this is going to work. We're in this crowded competitive category. There's 22 dealerships in his market. You know, we've spent all this money and time. So if you do the time analysis, you're going 4 years plus 6 months. We look at the 4 years of wandering in the desert and then another 6 months of just incubating and getting an idea ready. But here it is. It's time to bring it to market. Okay, great. September 2006. We're going to use radio. We're going to use radio as the first thing to try this out. And here it is. September 2006, he becomes known as Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Canada's huggable car dealer. Yes, he's Canada's huggable car dealer. And we ran 30-second spots forever that never talked about the cars. We just told stories. We told stories about the huggable car dealer. He's the Casanova of customer focus. He's the Romeo of roadsters. He is the McDreamy of drive. Yes, Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, where you get your daily dose of Hugtonium, designed to improve your love affair with your car and your libido. What did he say? Can you see inside the car what's happening? What? Did you hear that, Martha? Great. So these story-based spots are on the air. 6 weeks later, Jim and Dawn and I are having dinner. 6 weeks later, we're at dinner, and I'll never forget Jim's face. I can see it like yesterday. He's leaning across that dinner table with the biggest shit-eating grin you can imagine, like he's 10 years old, and it's Christmas morning, and he's going, I've been advertising for 20 years. I ain't never had anyone come up to me and talk to me about my ads. Because Mike the human, remember? What's Mike the human actually doing? He sees him in the grocery store lineup or at the shopping mall, and he's going up, oh, you're the huggable car dealer, blah, blah, blah. Guys, what happened that night at dinner is the true magic. Because, have you ever been in the meeting where you heard the brilliant idea and you wished you had thought of it? I didn't think of it. I was just there. Jim didn't think of it either. It was Mrs. Huggable, Donna. Donna said this, guys. She felt we couldn't just go on the air and talk about being the huggable car dealer, because that would just be cheesy, gimmicky, here today, gone tomorrow marketing. No, we couldn't just talk about being the huggable car dealer. We actually had to be the huggable car dealer. Guys, would you believe there's a world of difference between just talking about something and actually like doing it for real? Would you believe there's a massive amount of difference? 6 weeks is when Mrs. Huggable had the idea to start, because she had the whole car that night stuffed because she went to a discount store and found all kinds of teddy bears. 6 weeks, guys, is when the transformation, indeed the reinvention of Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals got underway. See, if you're a huggable car dealer, well, guess what? Your whole being, your whole essence communicates that story, and also all the things you do. So if you're a huggable car dealer, guess you actually have the hug shuttle. So, you know, hair doesn't get messed up in the rain, right? Of course. I always say that if Walt Disney himself was to imagine what a used car lot looked like, this would be it. So from the carousels to the mascots that go to all the community events, they've got their own internet TV show called Motivationally Speaking, and a new one now called The Huggable Huddle. A year after Huggable launched, finds a book. Jim found a book. It's called Hug Your Customers. Hug is the metaphor for taking care of the customer. That's all it is. It's a metaphor. And he doesn't just buy the book, he hangs out with the author for 2 or 3 days. And of course, a huggable car dealer would heavily invest and promote staff training and development. Guys, I could probably teach a whole day just on the stuff that Jim and his team are doing over there at Wheels and Deals. And it goes not just to the kids' playground, it goes to the moment you walk in, there's the whiff of the fresh theater popcorn. When I met Jim and Don, I found out they were doing handmade birthday notes to their customers. Handmade, since 1998. So you bought a car, Carol, right? Carol, you bought a car. How do they know it's your birthday? Finance app, driver's license. Can they get that information from you? Yes. That goes into an Excel spreadsheet. You never bought a car for another 10, 12 years. See what happens? But what happens every year on Carol's birthday? Because the birthday club is now more than 14,000 people. There's a separate Canada Post office dedicated to making sure everyone in the birthday club now gets their gift. There's the 2-kilometer nature trail, the Trail of Hugs. Wheels and Deals is dog friendly. Any dog people in the room? Yep. Yep. As you can probably figure out, the Trail of Hugs is all branded. And just when you think they can't take it any more over the top, 4 years ago, they released the children's book. That's right. So, as you can probably figure out, this is now being played out online in a big, big way. And people are sharing pictures and photographs of their kids, grandkids, their animals. Yes, Sophie got a hold of one of the little bears. 3.5 months ago, it was 3.5 months ago, Jim calls me up, he says, you're not going to believe this. What? Someone actually brought one of his teddy bears to an orphanage in Uganda. A used car dealer is helping promote world peace somewhere in the world. You got to admire that. Okay? Guys, Jim and Donna Gilbert have become these highly respected and bordering on iconic leaders in their business community. Starting with my own book in May of 2010, profiled in no fewer than 5 business books. There's another one underway. And this is the corner lot that became 5 acres of fabulous. And today, that business is employing 33 people. They sell well over 100 cars a month. They've had some unbelievable months, like April of 2014, 144 cars went through there, and that's now a $40 million a year operation. You've got your 15 to 20x growth in what we all considered was like one of the worst business categories you could ever pull this off in. Has he become the unparalleled, unrivaled category of one? The answer is unequivocally yes. Does he belong in the conversation with the best brands in the world? Again, absolutely. He is the, if you'll allow it, he is the Ferrari of his space. See, that's the challenge. What is it going to take for you to become the Apple, the Harley Davidson, the Ferrari, the Lululemon, whatever metaphor you want to use? How do you actually get to be that? So what you're seeing is an otherwise ordinary used car dealer from the middle of nowhere, Canada, is actually now in the conversation because he's using some of the strategies from the best brands in the world, and there's nothing stopping anyone from doing this. Nothing. The only limitation, by the way, is not budget, it's imagination. It's not capitalization, it's imagination. It's the only limitation. Okay? And so, let's be very clear about how this works. All right, I need, let me see here. Who's this? What's your name?
Doug.
Doug, come on up, Doug. Doug, you look like a serious guy. I always try to find the most serious person in the room, just to hold it. Oh, Doug, I got a dog leash here. Is that something? Can you say it nice and loud, Doug, so everyone can hear that?
hug is the shortest distance between two friends.
Let's try that again, shall we? Ready?
A hug is the shortest distance between two friends.
Guys, I want you to study Doug. You studied Mike the human earlier, now study Doug. Because you're all serious business people, and some of you are more serious than Doug, but I want you to watch him, and I don't want you to miss a thing. Look at Doug, study Doug. And I want you to look at this very analytically. I know some of you are smiling, but this is cold, hard business now. Cold, hard business. You ready for it? What do teddy bears, mascots, carousels, dog leashes, children's books, and about 500 other things, what does any of this have to do with the actual product or service called used cars? Help me out.
Nothing.
Nothing. There. Perfect. You got it. Nothing. On the other hand, what do teddy bears, dog leashes, kids' books, on and on and on, have to do with the people who actually buy the used cars? Everything. Guys, we've entered, and Doug is demonstrating visually, we've entered what's called a paradox. On the one hand, this stuff has got nothing to do with the actual product or service. Nothing to do with the business. On the other hand, it's got what? Everything, like everything to do with it. More than everything to do with it. How can that be? How can on the one hand it have nothing to do with it? How can on the other hand it's got what? Everything to do with it. The more I travel and the more I work with businesses, the more convinced I become that business typically hates the paradox. Because we have to use both sides of our brain? Yes. You mean we can't just do the analytic and the logical, and we can't just paint by numbers and connect dots, and it can't just go in a straight line, and we can't just measure this and manage this and quantify this? No. Do you think for a second there's a financial straight line? Let me go to my friend at the bank. Todd, do you think there's a financial straight line that exists between the $10,000 to $15,000 Jim writes the check for the teddy bears every year to the sales on the bottom line? Is there a financial straight line that any accountant and any forensic accountant could see? No. Doesn't exist. This would drive the accounting world bonkers, wouldn't it? It really would. Because the accounting world wants to say, well, geez, if you're selling that much, you could save a bunch of money, and don't write the check for those teddy bears, and why are you giving all those birthday gifts, right? Sure, and what would you then accomplish, Mr. Bean Counter? You would have killed the brand. The brand exists because of the mojo that Doug is demonstrating that makes Mike pull over to the side of the road. Unless Mike the human pulls over, we got nothing. Does that make sense, you guys? This is all interconnected, by the way. Doug, you've been a gracious volunteer. Let me thank you, though, my friend. Let me thank you. The least I can do, of course, is give you, you know what? I'm not going to give you this book. I'm going to give you this book. Jim just wrote a book. No, he did. Look at that. See? Hardcover book. For real. My pleasure. I'll keep the bear because I need the crop. But keep the book. You keep the book. Let's have a warm round of applause for our friend Doug. You guys get this? This is a metaphor. It's a metaphor. For what? For the magic that's inside your business. There's something magical inside your business. And it's pure magic. And if it ever came out, and if it was ever shared with the world, some people just might go, wow, that's pretty amazing. Like, isn't that something? No one does handstands or cartwheels over product, service, feature, advantage, benefit. I hate to tell you. It doesn't work that way. No one does handstands or cartwheels over category language. It's not going to happen. But this is the metaphor. Now, by now, you should be thinking, it looks like a teddy bear. It does look like a teddy bear. But I don't want you to see the teddy bear. I want you to see the metaphor. And I want you to see this for what it really is. What is this really? This? I don't know about you, I'm looking at a $40 million a year idea. That's what I'm looking at. This is the symbolic representation of a $40 million a year idea. This is the golden goose. Will it keep laying golden eggs? What do you think, Mike?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not, but we got over a decade of market evidence that says it's still growing. Because he's the #1 used car dealer, not only in his city, not only in his province, he's #1 in all 4 Atlantic Canadian provinces. He's the biggest guy now. And he was the small corner lot. And the product, guys, is still what? The product. Product's the product. Something changed. Now, I also know that this is such a powerful, polarizing metaphor. Some people look at the teddy bear and they go, what? Whoa, that's just a little too much, isn't it? So here's what we do. We change the metaphor. If you can't digest or wrap your head around the teddy bear as a metaphor, then just change the metaphor. Find your flag. Does that make sense? That's all it is. Because at the end of the day, what do we got here? People will look outside this room. If they weren't in this room experiencing what you're experiencing today, they'll look at this and go, oh, they're different. I don't see difference. I see what? Exactly the same thing. That's what I see. I see these are physical representations of timeless, emotional truths. This is about the greatest brands in the world, guys, are built on timeless, universal human values. They are not built on product, service, featured benefit, or the dreaded unique selling proposition, the USP. This is what they're built on. Timeless, universal human values, and these are just, what? Symbolic representations of that. Here's the wisdom that Jim Gilbert shared the first day we met. First day we met. Now I'm going to show you how to do this. You okay with that? Show you how to do this. How do you find the magic? Okay, here's how you find it. First day we met, Jim says these lines. I couldn't believe what I heard. I said, what did you say? He says, it's not about the 4 wheels and the piece of tin. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? He says, quote, it's not about the 4 wheels and the piece of tin. He says there are 22 car dealerships in our market. Everyone's got 4 wheels and a piece of tin. He says the way they make cars nowadays, this is 2002, he says they're all pretty good. There's not that much difference. Huh. You see, 2002, Jim didn't know the answer, neither did I. But to his credit, he knew what the answer was not. And we just spent 4 years wandering in the desert to try and figure this out, and another 6 months of going off on this road trip to really figure it out, and you guys will have this all figured out by lunch. I think that's not a bad deal. No, really, that's not a bad deal when you consider investing in the long-term future of your organization and your brand. So yeah, someone give me something by lunch that took other guys 4.5 years to crack, I'm down with that. He says it's not about the 4 wheels and the piece of tin, which is now the metaphor for your product or service. Do you have 4 wheels and a piece of tin in your business? And the answer is what? Yes. If you have a product, if you have a service, if you have a cause, that's the 4 wheels and the piece of tin. That's what it is. But he's saying what? It's got nothing to do with it. Which opens the question to, well, what's this really all about? Which is why we go to bovine motive. Yep. Life's pretty good. Page 11. Because we'll find out what it is all about with respect to our brand. This is still the most misunderstood, misapplied word in the business vocabulary. Why? Because people tend to think brand has to do with all of these visual elements. I look at brand in terms of how does it drive business success. Hold on a second. There's that, it's not in there? Bovine mold was there.
Section 12.
Oh, then it's 12. My mistake. 11 is done. So, guys, ask yourself this. You're all common sense people. Do you think for a second that Pike Place Fish Market or Ron Kraft Auto Care are enjoying game-changing success because of their logos? No. Or St. Andrews Golf, it wouldn't matter what they put up there. Okay? The real reason the brand is successful and drives the business, I'm all about how does it actually translate into results. Okay? What's the definition of brand that drives the results? And this is it. I found it in a book called Brain Tattoos from Karen Post many years ago. And this is kind of like the adventure Jim and I went on over a decade or more ago. It's a story. It's a story that becomes embedded in the mind of the market. Embedded is a powerful word because once something is embedded, guess what? It's never coming out. The greatest brands in the world are all story-based. They were all founded, built, constructed off of a story. And when you see your brand as story, when you see your business as a story, not its products and services, you get to see the whole thing very differently in a way that your competitors are not even close to paying attention to. What are they all focused on? Competitors are all focused on product, service, features, advantages, benefits, and those USPs, which is meaningless to real people. Yeah, when you see your brand as story, the story can be about anything. Story could be, let's see, could be a story about being cool, being hip, being part of the in crowd. It could be a story about self-esteem. It could be a story about personal pride, rebel pride. It could be a story about winners or sinners. It could be a story about being loud and proud and loud and prouder. It could be a story about high-flying fish, high-flying men, the boy inside the man, gods of thunder who are larger than life. Yeah. Any air guitarists in here? It's got to be, I can't be the only one. No, you don't want to channel your inner Richie Sambora? No? Okay, yeah, brand's a story embedded in the mind of the market. And when people love the story, when they fall in love with the story, they will wear it, they will share it, they will proudly display it, they will even die for it. U.S. Army Ranger, I met in Sacramento. Look at that. 21-year veteran of the U.S. Army Rangers. Proudly showed me his, I was in a coffee shop. See the scar running down the middle of that? He got into a knife fight with the Dallas Cowboy fan. I mean, the Raiders have really been a terrible team for a long time, and guess what? He's willing to bleed for his silver and black. Branding. As soon as you add the ing, you change the definition of the word. So brand is noun. Brand is story, which is noun. Branding is verb. It's just how we're going to tell it, how we're going to live it. That's it. How do we tell the story? How do we live the story? And there's many different ways to tell and live the story. Todd, is this making sense in the back of the room over at Pinnacle?
Very good.
Perfect. Yeah, you figure out the story, then you figure out, okay, how are we going to tell it? How are we going to live it? And you can spend as much as you want or be as creative as imaginative you want, even if it means, and I think that's why this is a leadership thing, guys. I think this photograph demonstrates the leadership involved because the leader has to lead this thing. Why? This photograph captures the essence in the sense that the leader is not too proud to throw on the bear suit and basically go to the side of the road and wave to people stuck in traffic every once in a while. Because, and this is the significant shift, marketing used to be something you could buy. Today it's something you actually need to be. It used to be something you could buy, but it's shifting now. It's shifting and now it's something we need to be. There was a time you could whip out your checkbook and buy your marketing. You could do it. You could buy Yellow Pages ads, you could buy billboards, you could buy things in the newspaper. There was a lot for sale. But this thing is blowing up. Marketing is not the only industry being disrupted right now. Who else is noticing massive disruption across different industries? Pardon me? Television, ask Netflix, right? With retailing, ask Amazon. Like it just guys, it is blowing up faster than we can sometimes shake, it makes you shake your head. But it's undeniable now in terms of what the implications are of this particular slide. Does this look like a highly engaged employee?
So for anybody that thinks it's easy, jumping around in a bear costume, or sitting at the end of the road waving to everybody every week or two, well guess what? It's not. It's not easy at all. But yes, we have a lot of fun doing it. That's why we're Canada's Huddle Car Dealer. Me and a lot of the team here at Wheels and Deals, we get in bear suits. We want to make you laugh. We want to make you have fun. We want to dance. And why not? Why not be a little bit different?
Why not be a little bit different? Asks Troy Faskel, otherwise ordinary used car salesman, now the host of Troy's Huggable Tuesday, where every week he's putting out videos, training for the Olympics. Oh look, he was caught singing in the shower. Troy's Huggable Tuesday, 90-second spots on Facebook video every Tuesday morning, designed to do what? Make people laugh, put a smile on their face. Geez, I think it was about a month or so ago, we actually had video of Troy getting his back waxed. Apparently some people like to see a grown man have his back hair ripped off him and that. No, really. You see, guys, Troy, and you can look him up on Facebook if you ever wanted to. He'd love to hear from you all the way from Wyoming. He's got people now, Facebook friending him from all these different places. And in fact, I couldn't believe it. Seaton picks me up at the airport the other night in Billings, and Seaton's talking about the video that just went on where Troy is actually in a Speedo. Like, if you ever want to see a grown man in a Speedo, it's just, but the thing is, guys, he's not talking about what? The four wheels and the piece of tin. What's the business result? Because I know how we think in business. He launched Troy's Huggable Tuesday, February of 2016. The measurement on the year to year, from 2016 Feb to 2017 Feb, over 150,000 views when you add them all up. Those 150,000 views cost him how much money in terms of media spend? Zero. Like zero. You like that budget? I do. How many shares? Lots of them. Like the one this week is just getting shared unbelievably. And I think, what's he up to now for us? Something like 10,000 views? Getting close to 10,000 now, right? Who would want 10,000 people looking at that? And sharing your stuff. We talked about this. No, it's happening. It's happening from a guy selling used cars. He's not even the owner. That's your highly engaged employee that's building a brand within a brand. And a year ago or so, now almost a year and a half, when he started this, he was the guy selling about 14, 15 cars a month, and now he's up to around 24, 25, 26. 1 month he had 29. I mean, why? Because people are sharing his story. Messages that contain video shared 1,200% more. You want to be share-worthy. You want to be the purple cow that's share-worthy. How are they going to share your stuff if you just have text? Do you think they're ever going to share your boring, bone-dry, white, bland as vanilla resume in the "this is me" thing with your credentials and your degrees? No one shares that stuff. What will they share? Maybe a story on video about why you do what you do, why you believe what you believe. How could it be? Well, I'm in B2B. How could B2B do this? Good question. Meet Chip Lewis. Chip Lewis is running a B2B in Baltimore, Maryland. PSA Financial, you ready for it? Group health benefits, Todd, and workman's comp. I know the ladies are just swooning right now. But when the American economy tanked in 2008, Chip decided, because he's a leadership guy, see, my friend Jim Gilbert's a nice guy, just a nice guy. Well, Chip's a leadership guy. And when the American economy tanked, he created his own leadership forum. Let's call it the PSA Partnership Program. Let's help out our clients. Our clients are suffering. We'll invest in their leadership teams. Every month at PSA, we'll bring in neuroscientists, PhDs, million-selling authors, people from the Baltimore Ravens and the Orioles, and Daniel Pink was there in 2014. I was the first Canadian invited in 2013, and I couldn't believe it. But this is exactly what I saw. Hundreds of people, 200, 250 people showing up every month at the PSA Partnership Program.
The goal here is to grow as individuals, to grow as business professionals, to grow as members of the community, and to reach out, to touch one another, to learn and to network.
We reach out to really the best speakers that we can find. These are people that have amazing roles like Rod does at the Ravens, people that are quoted in the Wall Street Journal, CNN, there's people with Fortune 100 clients, people with international client bases. So what we do with the partnership program is we try to sit in the seat of the business owner or executive. What skill sets do they need in order to do their job better? So it might be negotiations, leadership, operations, how to deal with people, how to get the most out of all your relationships. That's why the program's great, because it continues to evolve. CEOs have a lot on their plate, and we're here to help them.
You can probably imagine for yourself what's happening to their client retention capacity as they become the go-to source and known for much more than just workman's comp and group health benefits. There's your purple cow. There's your story. There's your theater. There's performance. How is it the same as Pike Place Fish Market? Guys, it's exactly the same. You could host the party, couldn't you? You could. Let's throw a party and let's host it. At the fish market, what are they doing? They host the party every single day, and they wear aprons and rubber boots, and these guys host the party every month, and they wear suits. Next, are they both interchangeable commodities, fish and group health benefits and workman's comp? Yep. Same thing. Guys, oh, we don't have the budget for that. Great, so we have no budget, okay? Yves Doucette. Yves Doucette is from my old hometown. He's the CEO of a software company. They make time tracking software. They're not even a minnow in the ocean. They're against so many whales and sharks. They're not even a minnow, they're a tadpole. But he actually got coverage recently on the front page of the Wall Street Journal because of something he started doing just over 2 years ago. Every Monday morning, Yves Doucette releases a new story as he just shares his values and opinions and what's on his mind on Facebook video.
I take the bus to work most days because it keeps me humble. And that's very important to me. I don't want to be measured by my house. I don't want to be measured by the car I drive. I want to be measured by the contribution I bring, by how meaningful I am. And that's very important to me. I was nominated for an award recently, a CEO award. And I was wondering, I think about that, what does that mean to me? Am I that CEO? Am I that hero? No, I'm not. You see, I don't answer the phone. I don't do the coding, the software. I don't, do the marketing. I don't do the sales. I don't do finance. I don't do support. Well, what do I do? That's the question, isn't it?
That's the question, isn't it? He'll go on and finish his story. And would you believe some people like watching his stories on Facebook? Here's the best part. They used to have trouble recruiting people. They've become a hotbed of talent. They're a talent magnet. They're in Moncton, New Brunswick, and they've got people from as far away as New York and Paris applying for jobs there. Yves also says the discretionary effort, there's the long and the short of it with Shaquille O'Neal, but the discretionary effort of the employees have just gone through the roof. 27-person company, they're going to be hiring 12 more people this summer. And because people are resonating with what Eve believes in terms of building a great workplace culture. Can we put a human face in the digital space? This is the biggest opportunity. These are the possibilities. This is what gets my engine revved on the branding highway, is we now all have the ability, the means, and the capacity to actually put a human face in the digital space. This is what's happening. There is no more B2B or B2C branding. Are there B2B and B2C business models? Yes, yes, and yes. But when it comes to your brand, as soon as you say, well, I'm B2B, you've just shut yourself out in terms of imagination. In 2017 and beyond, going forward, the only winners, the real winners, are going to be those who recognize there is no more B2B or B2C. This is nonsense. There's only going to be H to H, human to human. Can we actually speak like human and maybe real English in the digital space and let people get to know us as we get to know them? And now we go to Tinseltown. You want to know how to do this? Brand is story embedded in the mind of the market. But what if there is lessons from Hollywood that tell us about how to craft these stories? And I want you to meet David Freeman. David's a friend of mine that I met over a decade ago, and he's one of Hollywood's great screenwriting coaches. The students have written things like Jerry Maguire, Aaron Brockovich, As Good as It Gets, The Matrix. I went to this class that David was teaching. I was just blown away. David was teaching us that some of the same techniques you can use to build a Hollywood screenplay, you could use to build a brand. How do they build a screenplay? You think they just spit that out over the course of a weekend, then call Brad and Angelina and get the camera guys? Or do you think there's maybe a little more thought to how the thing works? What do you think, guys? Well, exactly. Some of the same storytelling techniques from screenplay writing could be used in brand development. And I was fascinated by this because suddenly that takes it out of traditional marketing, which I never wanted any part of. So I go, okay, that's interesting, David. And then about 2 or 3 years later, because I'm watching for it, I come across this work called the 7 Basic Plots. And it's a guy from the UK, and we're emailing back and forth now because I finally met someone who actually knows the guy, but I haven't met him in person yet or talked to him, but we are on each other's email radar. But Christopher Booker spent nearly 4 decades researching the origin of story. His discovery was that if there's only 7 basic stories that have ever attracted and held an audience since the beginning of time, the implications for our brand are massive. If our hypothesis is true, that a brand is a story, that the best brands in the world are all story-based, then what if there's only 7 basic stories that will actually attract an audience, that will actually get Mike the human to pull over? And so, what the implications are very simple. This now becomes your filter. This is your filter for saying, wait a second, if what we are communicating is not aligned with at least 1, if not 2 or 3 of these 7 basic plots, we have no story. We might have some facts, we might have some data, we might have some proof, we might have scientific case studies, we might even have customer testimonials, but guess what we don't have? We do not have a story. We don't. This is the ultimate framework. I can never tell you what's going to work in marketing. No one can. But I can tell you what will never work. And I'll tell you, if it doesn't align with these 7 basic plots, you're already in the category mosh pit. You're in the traffic jam. You're just going to slug it out with everyone else. That's where it's going. The quest. See, and that's what I started to notice, is that the best brands in the world were all reflecting these plot lines. So, for example, what's the quest? The quest is the search. The search for things like the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Lost Covenant. Well, there's a quest brand right there. Ferrari's a quest. You know, no different than a Harvard degree. PSA Financial, that's a quest brand for higher levels of leadership, just like TED Talks. The Masters Tournament, it's an event, but it's a quest for what? What are they all after in pro golf? The Masters. They want the green piece of cloth, don't they? That's right. They're after that green piece of cloth. And what happens when they are in the ceremony? Have you ever noticed that, guys? In the ceremony, getting the green piece of cloth. They just love that stuff. St. Andrews is a quest brand. People, their whole life, that's a bucket list thing, just to be able to cross that bridge, Swilken Bridge, to walk that 18th fairway in the company of the legends, Bobby Jones, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, etc., etc., etc. If you're into golf, that's a big deal. That's Bethlehem, Mecca, and the Vatican all rolled up into one. And there's Jim Gilbert. Comedy plus voyage and return. That's comedy plus voyage and return. Comedy, romantic comedy like Runaway Bride or Notting Hill, or Voyage and Return like Disney. These are your 7 basic plots. Now, if you are like super nerdy curious about this stuff, I wrote an ebook called The Branding Highway. The ebook is free. It's in the resource section. It's only about 12, 13 pages, and it just details a little more that I don't have time to get into today, a little bit about this whole branding with distinction philosophy, how the 7 basic plots apply, and the 5 strategies to win. But ultimately, story as strategy. This is what we're focusing on today, guys. This is story as strategy. If product, services, and pricing is all comparable in every category, let's face it, they can copy your product, and they can actually beat you on price if they wanted to go all the way to the bottom of the pit. What's the one thing they could never, ever copy? Your story. They can't, because you're an original. So using story as strategy is actually one of the foundations of the new curriculum we're actually teaching now at Huggable University. Yes, we have new curriculum, new program, Huggable University. Well, where's that located? Online, of course. See, anyone can enroll. It's online. Every month we have new classes at Huggable University. And Jim and I teach these different segments, but it's all designed that every month you get the team on the same page. How do you boost your culture and build your brand using some of the same principles that launched this thing and basically made it Canada's answer to Pike Place Fish Market in Seattle. So that's the stuff we're sharing now, and actually the best part about it is if you went to huggableuniversity.com and you just press the blue button, the first session is free. You're just in and you can try it out. That's kind of how it works, you know? But it all comes back to this. It comes back to where we started. It's recognizing that the best brands in the world, what do you want your brand to do? Pull. Yeah, if you want to create the pull, story is what gets that magnet activated. They're all story-based. And anyone can do this. Literally anyone. And so there's a whole trinity that I discovered. You know, if you're looking for the simple and easy answer, it's can you actually discover, tell, and live your own story? If you can discover, tell, and live your own story, that's how you become Ferrari of the category. That's where the magic of the purple cow actually happens. If you can discover, tell, and live your own story. So there's, let me see here. Okay, perfect. Zach. You want to help everyone today?
Sure.
I figured you'd be up for it. Zach, come on up. Do we have that wireless microphone hanging around seating?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We got a little bit of time so we can do this. Guys, there's at least 4 core stories inside your company. Would you like Zach to demonstrate how we find these? What do you think? Are you guys okay if Zach's voluntold to do this?
Yes.
You don't mind? No problem at all.
Nope.
No, because I figure Zach, you know, bit of a handsome dude too, isn't he? You know? But anyway, if Zach can do this with his new startup venture, and I'm thinking basically anyone can do this. That's what I'm thinking. So we'll use Zach as kind of our model, and we'll all learn together through Zach. Is that okay? So there's 4 basic stories inside the company. And this is just, and let me manage the expectations for you. I do this work all the time. I mean, this is what Seaton and I and Forrest were working on yesterday. Okay? This is a very quick thumbnail sketch of what story extraction looks like. That make sense? Okay. But let's just start. What's the name of your company, Zach?
Farm Table West.
Farm Table West. What do you guys, so do your infomercial. Tell us what you guys do.
Basically, we bring good food from good people to good people. So we put local food all on our website. People can order it, and then the idea is they can receive delivery of that food in a couple days. So it's all locally produced food that people have easy access to.
Okay. So you're kind of like the Amazon doing fresh food.
Right.
Right to the door.
Right.
Not having to go to the grocery store.
Right.
So I understand this, right?
See.
Okay. Okay, great. Is there anybody else doing this in your space?
Yes.
Okay, here's one of the questions, and this, we're not digging into the 4 stories yet, I'm just trying to get a sense of a little bit of the category. Who's heard of Zach's business? Well, we get some customers here. That's good. The name of the business again is?
Farm Table West.
Farm Table West. Why would I buy from Farm Table West?
Because with our product, you're going to know the producer that it came from. You're going to get to know the farmer. We're going to try and sell the farmer story instead of the product. So you have a relationship with where your food comes from.
Are the other people who do what you do saying the same thing?
Not really.
Okay. Okay. So let's dig into, okay, and then how big is your company right now, Zach? How many employees?
You're looking at them.
Okay. Okay, great. Which means we have tremendous opportunity to grow.
Yes.
Right?
Only going up. Yeah.
It's only going up? Okay, so now that I really know, let's have some fun with this. Zach, tell us, there's 4 stories. Here's the first one. It's the Genesis story. It's the origin story. Zach, what is the Genesis story? What is the origin story? You know how Genesis worked in the Bible? You know, in the beginning, how did it work, guys? In the beginning, God worked hard for 6 days. On the 7th day, he took the day off and sat up and put his feet up and watched the Pittsburgh Steelers win another Super Bowl. Isn't that kind of how it worked? Something like that, wasn't it? Close enough? Okay. This is Zach's origin story, and I want you to start with those magical 4 words. Just tell us how you came up with this.
Once upon a time, I was working at Shoshone River Farm, which is just outside of Cody. And about a month into it, I got the job of running the farm for 3 weeks because Scott, the main farmer, had to go to Denver for 3 weeks. And I had never worked on a vegetable farm before and never harvested vegetables, never really gone to a farmer's market or anything like that. So it was really trial by fire. And in that 3 weeks, I learned that it's pretty hard to sell vegetables to people in a local market. It's pretty hard because you have to go to 3 or 4 farmers markets a week. You have to sell to restaurants. You have to do a CSA. So a couple of months after working at the farm, I thought there's got to be a better way to do this where it's easier for people to access this kind of food. Because at a farmer's market, you only have 2 hours a week to access it. CSA, there's only 1 time a week where you can go pick up that food. So what's a way we can get 24/7 access to this food?
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. Here's what I want you to do. Remember those big, bulky cassette recorders?
Yes.
You're not that old, are you?
26.
Okay, but there were at one time, like Mike the Human could tell you, there were these big bulky cassette recorders, right? I'm gonna put one right here, and then what you do is you take your index finger and you press the pause button. Pause. Hold it. Okay, guys, I'm showing you process. Okay, right now he's just going on and on and on, but he's not giving us the real origin story. Because here's the thing. If we don't find out a little bit of the beginning, he's jumped way ahead and he hasn't given anything yet at the wise old age of 26 about him. I have no clue what he studied in school. I have no clue what he was like as a kid. Why is he even at a vegetable stand in the first place? Does that make sense?
Right.
Lift the pause button. So, Zach, how did you what did you do before vegetables? Before that 3-week stint?
So I worked at
What did you study?
I studied marketing and anthropology. So.
Whoa! Anthropology?
Yep.
Do tell.
So it's the study of people, so it's kind of like a different perspective on marketing.
Where'd you go?
Augustana College in Illinois. I'm originally from Chicago.
Thank you. See, in the origin story, guys, I want to hear the real specific stuff. So tell us that you're a Chicago kid from the Windy City who wound up studying anthropology. What fascinated you and what did you learn about anthropology?
I love studying people from different backgrounds, different cultures, what makes people do the things they do, basically. So anthropology and marketing are both fascinating me because of that.
What's the one story about anthropology that you just are endlessly fascinated by?
Like a specific story? Or
Yes,
just...
because guys, specifics are more believable than generalities, and see, he's at the surface right now. We are extracting, we want to find out what really makes this guy tick, so please tell us. Like, I can tell you about World War II till we're here till late at night, got it?
Right.
I want to hear some anthropology stuff, like why you into it.
I don't know, I find it fascinating.
What's the one story that you just, wow. Was it Greek, Roman times? You gotta give me something.
Okay.
Throw me a freaking bone.
Okay, here's an interesting one. One story we learned about was about Harley Davidson bike gangs. So like the Hells Angels.
Okay.
That's fascinating because it's just this group of guys that are traveling around the country in a bike gang, and they somehow can get away with just messing up bars and creating all sorts of havoc, and they get away with it. And one of the great examples of that is Hunter S. Thompson's book on that, and we read that in the anthropology class, and it's just fascinating how they can get away with it, the culture of that.
What did it teach you?
That a group of big little guys can beat at the bar. They get away with it.
Okay. So make the leap now from anthropology to Farm Table West. What's the connection between what you learned from anthropology and how you started Farm Table West? Because I'm still in origin.
Right. So what we're doing now is we're trying to provide people around here of a certain culture value and a story about producers that are already around here that some people don't even know about. So the study of culture is a big part of that, learning about what people are interested in, what people like to do around here, and the farmer story as well.
So I have a question for both of you.
Sure.
As someone who is not your customer, but who has been watching you on Facebook and reading your ads, as a potential consumer, I hear what you're saying about the story, and also when you start talking, I'm thinking the thing that has kept me from jumping on the bandwagon with the service that you provide is that I can't quite figure out how it works. So my frustration with the Shoshone Farms Co-op is exactly what you say. I'm driving home from work on Wednesday nights when they have their pickup between 5 and 6:30, and you have to pick your produce up between 5 and 6,
Yeah.
right? So if I get to Shoshone Farms at 6:05, too bad. Or if I'm really tired and grouchy, and I just want to pull in and I don't want to talk to everyone from Cody that I know. I don't want a social hour. I just want my vegetables. I'm grumpy. I want to go home. So I'm driving by and it's 5:30 and I'm thinking, oh, there goes so-and-so. And they're just, I'm not in the mood. And so I'm thinking, do you deliver? I don't quite understand. And also I'm thinking you pick up at Whole Foods and they close at at 5:30. So I hear what you're saying about the story. As a consumer, I also want some information about how it works. So how do you
We're getting
do both?
I'm struggling. Okay, here's the thing. Guys, Carol, by the way, you should thank her profusely because that feedback is gold for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay? Like profusely.
Thank you.
Now, here's the thing. Carol right now has asked an operational question, and we're still trying to figure out what this brand is. Right now, I'm demonstrating process, and I barely scratched the surface. I'm not through the process yet of even figuring out how Farm Table West is going to be that much different than not only his current competitors, but all future competitors. Does that make sense?
So are you saying don't go there?
I'm, in a nice way, that's what I'm saying right now.
Don't get stuck in these kind of details.
Not yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah, we're not even
That's what I
there
want
yet.
from you, and then you
Yeah. I'm just demonstrating right now some process with a new guy that I thought this would be helpful to him, but also to you. I need to hear the origin story and the little bits and pieces. And I'm not going to give you finished product today because this is a little complex, but you'll have at least a semblance of how this could work. Okay? Right now, what do we know? We know it's a guy with an anthropology background out of Chicago. Don't we know that? Sure. But I still don't know yet just what is it that fascinated you about like vegetables. You're a big city boy and now you're in Wyoming. Come on, what? I don't get that yet from a story perspective.
So I lived in the city for 2 years. I grew up in the suburbs. The first year I worked in a soup kitchen. So we provided a meal for about 100 to 150 homeless individuals every night. So I learned about developing relationships and providing the best food we possibly could with what we had to 150 people every night.
Stop.
Sorry.
Who's interested in this? Look, you just see your audience? What they all do? Raise your hand. Is this on your website?
Not yet.
Sorry. The fruits, the vegetables, and the legumes are the 4 wheels and the piece of tin. Operational stuff, that's easy to figure out. And he's allowed, as a new startup, he's allowed a little grace to figure out his operational stuff. Right now, though, I'm interested in this story, and so are you. Okay, watch where this goes. Every company has a nutcracker story. Every company. What's the nutcracker story? It is, as the photograph would suggest, and you're having lots of them right now, right? It's when it feels like this. It's the story of adversity. What right now, to date, Zach, and you're amongst friends, what's your biggest adversity story that you can tell since starting Farm Table West?
Competing with the grocery store? I mean, you want
I want a specific,
story.
I'm going to specific story, yeah. No one cares about the generalities, guys. No one. What was the thing that happened? What was the thing that happened, Zach, that made you feel like that and you lost sleep? Because you're starting this thing and you got all the weight of the world on your shoulders. What's that thing? You've been through it. What happened?
Well, I think it's happening.
What is it?
I guess it's just not picking up quite as big as or as fast as I thought it would. And I think a lot of it has to do with that I'm not telling the story the right way. I'm talking too much about operational stuff. And actually, I'm so glad you asked that question, because that's really one of the things I'm struggling with. You know,
What
telling
is-
people that, or
Okay,
or
what is the adversity teaching you right now? Is
that I'm 26 and I have a whole lot to learn.
boom, who likes that? Who likes that? Let them know. You can applaud that answer. That's a great answer. I'm 26. You know, I'm Zach, and I got a lot to learn about business, right? You have an Everest story. Every company has an Everest story, even if they're only 7 months old. What is your Everest story, which is a story of accomplishment and achievement? There's adversity in the pit. There's top of the mountain. What are you most proud of right now, 7 months in?
I guess I'm most proud of that we can buy, we can expand Scott's market every single week to the point where he doesn't necessarily have to worry so much about selling to restaurants, going to the farmer's market. He doesn't have to sell as much at the farmer's market to make his business. We're helping him employ his 8 staff members early in the season when there isn't much capital for him to put, because there's just not much stuff there.
Okay, so you have seen some accomplishments that you're proud of.
But yeah.
Now, here's the ultimate story. It's the Batman story. Why does Zach do what he does? Why does Batman fight crime? Why? Since 1939, Batman saw, Bruce Wayne saw his parents, Thomas and Martha, murdered in cold blood on the streets, right, of Gotham City. 1939. You know that in every telling and retelling of the Batman story, comic books, movie, TV, doesn't matter, what's always at the core? Why he fights crime. Isn't that always at the core? That's the part that never changes. Simon Sinek wrote a great book and has a great TED Talk called Start With Why. But people tend to homogenize the answers. Well, my why is I'm passionate about making a difference with people. But that doesn't tell us anything. Why are you doing this? What is your Batman thing? What is your Batman moment that got you into the vegetable business as opposed to the anthropology marketing business? Why are you doing this? What happened that day? You want to know?
Sure.
Sure, I want to know too.
Because I think we can radically improve.
No. What happened that day? You got to push it the story. What's your Batman moment? I was on unemployment line one day. See what I'm saying?
Right.
You know why I do this? Because reinvention to me is, I'm not just filling time or wasting anyone else's. Like, I was that guy. Why are you doing this? What happened?
The boss went for 3 weeks and went to.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the why.
Something tripped inside him that made him light the entrepreneurial torch, didn't it?
Well, food, why do you like food?
Why?
I
Yeah.
care about your food.
Because I think you can build really strong communities around food.
Blah, 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 blah. No, I want a story. Why do you do this?
Well, when I was working at the soup kitchen, part of the spice, the magic of that place was we weren't just serving a meal, we were developing relationships with people. I actually got to know, I remember memorizing 300 names of all the different people that came into the kitchen every single night. And
Can we stop it there? You like that story? The guy memorized 300 names of people going to a soup kitchen. You think he cares about customers and people? What do you think? That says that better than any cliche could. Does that make sense, Zach?
absolutely.
Okay. Thanks again. Let's have a warm round of applause for Zach. Guys, Zach, do you have a website?
FarmTableWest.com.
Do you have video right on the home page?
Working on it.
Here's how it works. I want you to now take what Zach just shared, and I want you to use your imagination. Zach, I'm going to show you my website. There's a stat, okay? But there's the website that you can use as a model. Don't think of it as my site, think of it as Zach's site. You ready, Zach?
Right.
Okay. What's the first thing people see when they click on there? Big box with a big red arrow. What's that? YouTube. Video, isn't it, Zach? What is the human mind likely to do when he sees the big red arrow?
Press play.
Press play. Do we got him right now into the story? And you see, can you picture in your mind the footage of Zach walking through the streets of Chicago? Can you see that? I can. I can see Zach walking through the streets of Chicago telling us about how he grew up studying marketing and anthropology, and he realized he didn't belong in the big city, and then boom, it goes to wide open western plains of Wyoming. That make sense? Or he's starting to tell the story in front of the soup kitchen. Where was the soup kitchen? In
Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, he's in front of the soup kitchen. I never thought that I would start a business because of something I learned here. Oh, who's interested in that? Like, I never thought the day would come when I would start a business because of what I learned here. And he just starts telling his little story about how, yeah, I studied things like marketing, and I studied things like anthropology, and I had all these big dreams, and I wanted to climb the corporate ladder, blah, blah. I'm riffing here. Am I okay? We okay if I just riff this out a little bit? Okay? And I bet there was one customer in particular at the soup kitchen that you formed the tightest relationship with, right, Zach?
Yeah.
What was that person's first name?
Torrance.
Torrance. And I bet he can segue to the story about how Torrance inspired him to actually remember and memorize more than 300 names. And then he went to, well, what if we could do this after moving to Wyoming and blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? Are we into the 3-minute movie, guys? Exactly. On Farm Table West, could there be like an unbelievable assortment of Zach's farm table recipe magic, something that they could download? Could that happen, Zach?
Yes.
Right. So they watch the story, right? And then they get what? The free info or the thought leadership piece or whatever that's over here. And how do they do that? They put in their name and email address. Does that make sense? What do you accumulate with every name and email address? Contacts. More importantly, Zach is building an audience. Zach is building an audience. And if you want to, if you're curious, you can pull up your device and just try it out on mine so that you can actually see. I don't want to be shameless self-promoting. I want you to see it how it feels. But it's true. You got to experience it like the customer. Like what Carol gave as feedback was great. He needs that feedback, doesn't he? You've got to feel it like the customer. Does that make sense, Zach?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and this is what happens. You got a device on you? Yeah. You want to subscribe so that way you get my stuff, and then but you also learn what it is to be a customer on the receiving end of content. What happens the more you publish great content? What happens to your audience, guys? It grows. And that becomes what? An asset. Zach, for all we know, you could have 10,000 names as an asset. That is more valuable than a storefront. That make sense? I just want you to see that it all starts with the story. Farm Table West. Right?
Right.
Farm Table West, where we know your name. I don't know, I'm just riffing here.
So,
Who knows what it's going to be in terms of the poetry, but it's got to align. I think he's got a story of connecting back to what's real. That's what I'm hearing, Zach. Your story is about connecting back to what's real. Anyone else interested in a story about connecting back to what's real? You could build a brand around that, couldn't you? And could he publish weekly material, bi-weekly material about connecting back to what's real? So Zach could be a thought leader on real connections with real people, couldn't you, Zach? All over Facebook, all over YouTube, and your website is basically the hub of where all this happens. That's kind of the opportunity. Now let's take it home and wrap this up. With respect to your brand, you have to ask, are we really playing to win, or do we just play not to lose? never in the history of the arts, never in the history of commerce, never in the history of entertainment, never in the history of athletics, has anyone ever achieved distinction just by doing what everyone else has done. You don't get there playing it safe. This guy is disrupting the car business, but in his own way, my friend the huggable car dealer is also not playing it safe, doing what everyone else does. And again, like I said, that's a leadership question. The purple cow is not for sale. You can't write a check big enough to just purchase this. That's something that only comes from within. Well, that's a risk. Oh my goodness, we're going to take a risk. Well, wait a second, guys. I think boring might be the riskiest of all business strategies, quite frankly. So the purple cow is there, waiting for you to actually discover it. But then, let's take it further, and using Zach as our example today, if it's not on YouTube, quite frankly, it never happened, and Facebook is the new YouTube. Zach can be his own media company. Farm Table West could be its own media company, couldn't it, Zach? Using the massive horsepower of Facebook and YouTube. And how do we know this? History teaches us this. This has already happened before. 1964, the Beatles hit the Ed Sullivan Show. Does anyone remember? Who remembers Beatles Ed Sullivan Show? Yeah, I was too young, but Seton was watching it. He had hair back then. 73 million people watched John, Paul, George, and Ringo on the Ed Sullivan Show, and 6 months later, all hell broke loose because Lucifer himself, Mick Jagger, shows up, and it's the Rolling Stones. And that was just the harbinger of things to come. Beatles, Stones created what? Unleashed what? The British invasion. Yes, before you know it, you've got everyone in it's the Who, it's Herman's Hermits, it's Dave Clark 5. And what happened 50 odd years ago? 50 odd years ago, this is happening, and America does what? Oh my goodness, they go gaga. But if you were a musician in 1965, let's go back, Mike the Human. If you're a musician in 1965, right? You're not this sophisticated, intelligent business guy, you're a rock and roller. In 1965, who was he paying attention to? I'm with you. Let's just say we're musicians. Who are we taking our cues from? We're copying those guys. We're emulating those guys. We want to be like Jagger, Richards, McCartney, Lennon. What were the people over the age of 40 doing? If you were over the age of 40 in 1965 and the Beatles and the Stones are running wild and bringing this whole British invasion madness with them, what are the people over the age of 40 doing? How are they reacting? This is what? What are they doing, guys? And judging, and as they said in the UK last week, they're a bunch of long-haired kangaroos. Like they have no bloody use for it. Okay? None. But the point is, and here's the point, Mike and I are young musicians, and we're watching the Beatles and the Stones, just like the Eagles did. Gene Simmons told me that's what he did. Aerosmith did it. Tom Petty. You go on and on and on. You can't overstate the impact the British invasion had. Okay, great. That's 50 odd years ago. Forget music. Talk marketing. Let's talk marketing. Who are the Beatles and the Stones of marketing in 2017? Who are those guys? Who are the Beatles and the Stones of marketing in 2017? I'm showing you their faces. These are actual people. And how many names, I'm sorry, let's just do a quick audience test. Because Seton, you were curious about this, right? How many hands go up? Who knows these guys? Keep your hands up. Zach, you're 26, right? And you're how old?
37.
You're 37. And you are? 43. Good for you. Forrest knows, of course. Who has no clue who these guys are? Like, no clue. Great. If you have no clue, you can thank Christine and everyone who put this on, because you just came into a session before it wraps up where you're going to find out stuff that your competitors have no clue either. Does that make sense? Like, see this as the opportunity. The guy in the white t-shirt is Gary Vaynerchuk. The guy in the black t-shirt is Casey Neistat. They are the Beatles and the Stones of marketing in 2017. Hands down. Gary Vee started YouTubing in 2007, and he's become the world's most influential authority in B2B social media, video. His company, VaynerMedia, has over 600 employees. That's a $100 million a year operation. Casey Neistat has been doing daily YouTube videos since March of 2015. But not just any videos, he's exceptionally good. He's the purple cow. That's what Casey Neistat is. His audience is phenomenal.
To the haters, the doubters, my 7th grade vice principal, to everyone who's ever told anyone with a dream they can't, this video's for you. Keep your head down, follow the rules, do as you're told, play it safe, wait your turn, ask permission, learn to compromise. This is terrible advice.
Casey Neistat is turning the world upside down with storytelling on YouTube video that 26-year-olds, 29-year-olds, 37-year-olds actually know about. But forget opinion. Some people will look at this stuff and have all kinds of opinion on his content. Let's just talk business, let's just talk numbers. What do the numbers say? In 1964, the Beatles had 73 million viewers watching the Ed Sullivan Show. 2 years ago, Super Bowl, Seattle and New England, 115 million viewers. Casey Neistat, the guy nobody's ever heard of, since March of 2015 has accumulated more than 1 billion YouTube views. He's eating the Super Bowl for lunch. Guys, he'll release a video today and it will generate easily, like for a joke, between 5 and 10 million views. I want to know what these guys know. CNN just paid him $25 million because he had an app, but they're really buying Casey Neistat's brain. CNN wants to know what these guys know. I don't want to be, at 55 years old, I don't want to be the 40-year-old in 1965 who wasn't paying attention to the Beatles and the Stones. Does that make sense? We have become very old very fast, and it happened in the blink of an eye. Why? Because this changed everything. We are now the message, and we are the medium. We are the message, we are the medium. Zach, Farm Cable West, is a media company first. You want to get business, Zach? You want lots of it too? More than you can handle? You're a media company first, you're a farm produce food company second. Does that make sense? Zach TV is hitting the air, isn't it? Tomorrow. And guess what? I would bet on Zach at 26 that he doesn't have all the fears and the anxieties and the worry about what people are going to think and blah, blah, blah BS that goes with it. I think at 26, I'd bet on him to take over the world in terms of getting his story out, and you would too. Casey Neistat, guys, and Gary Vaynerchuk are your Beatles and Stones, and you came here today and you discovered this. See, the part about story is timeless. Stories have been told for centuries. That's never going to go away. But what we're talking about now is the most timely way to get those stories to market, to get those stories heard, and more importantly, shared. A year ago, February of 2016, the Guelph Mercury newspaper closed down. Has anyone else seen the story of the incredibly shrinking newspaper in the state of Wyoming or Montana? Anyone else seen that? How the newspapers are shrinking? Okay, Guelph Mercury News, an hour from London, Ontario, 149-year paper says it's done. They wave the white flag of surrender. Why does the newspaper close? Why? Why? No, exactly. It's pretty simple, isn't it? No audience, no ads. Like, hello? No audience, no ads. On the same weekend that the Guelph Mercury newspaper closes, there's our friend Casey. What's he doing? Snowboarding through Times Square.
We never want to have to arrest someone in this situation, but we will arrest them if needed. If you're just a civilian out driving, you are subject to arrest. It's as simple as that.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
40 and over crowd doesn't know who he is.
I want to be part of it.
This stuff is going viral.
New York, these vagabond shoes.
Oh, he's a celebrity.
New York, New York.
Guys, relevancy is the new currency. Differentiation and relevance is a speed strategy, and relevancy is the new currency. Do not be the 40-year-old in 1965 that wasn't watching how the world was changing and, more importantly, studying it to see how they could leverage some of those insights. What's on the road ahead for you? Here it is. It's the strategic decision. What are we going to do here with our brand, guys? Is this a pull strategy or not? If we are going to do a pull thing, we need the purple cow. It's got to be anchored to something remarkable. Something that will actually make Mike the Human pull over at the side of the road. It's got to be wrapped up in a plot-driven story. Do you think Zach's got a plot-driven story somewhere inside that company is? What do you think, guys? I do too. Embryonic company, 7 months old. Are you kidding me? The 26-year-old who admits he's learning?
I've got 30 years on him before I figured that out.
Yeah, exactly. Zach, I think people here actually love your story. And then, how are you going to take your story and keep publishing it? In other words, how are you going to be your own media? Your own radio station, your own TV station. You can do podcasts, you can do, like I do video blogs, okay? You can do this. Are there going to be detours and roadblocks on this journey? What do you think, guys? Of course, there will be no shortage, just so you know, there will be no shortage of traditional marketing police who want to pull you over and tell you that you're an idiot, you can't do any of this. Okay? Don't listen to them. Why? Because the 29-year-old in Fredericton, New Brunswick is not listening to them either. Who is she? Jessie Yerksa. Who is Jessie? She's a real estate agent. There's 400 realtors in her town, but only one is kicking butt like Jessie. And she's doing it with YouTube.
Hello, Dave Moss speaking.
Dave, it's Jessie. We've got the big one, the motherfish, the king cobra. I'm coming to get you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Let's get in the zone. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Y'all ready for this? Hello, buyers. Look at your house. Now look at this house. Now back to your house. Now back to this house. Sadly, this is not your house, but it could be your house if you stopped sitting around wishing it was and contacted me. Look down. Now back up. Where are you? You're on a patio. That could be your patio. What's in your hand? Now look at me. I have it. It's that front door key to that house you love. Anything is possible when you choose the right realtor. I'm in a pool.
Let's bring our time together to a close this way, guys. All that we've talked about today, branding with distinction, this is a discipline. This is a mindset. It is not a spending strategy. And the opportunities have never been more wide open. Jesse's just another one. And I hope by now you saw just from her little video that the Casey Neistat influence, if you will, is in there. That's where this world is going. Facebook and YouTube right now. It could change next year, but right now, today, these are number 1 and number 1A on the list. If you're not on Facebook and YouTube, guys, you are irrelevant. You don't exist. You're not part of the game. You've taken yourself out. And I'm saying, get on. and get on in a hurry if you're not already. It's like owning CBS and NBC, and they're there because Facebook is now powered by so much video. When I was in the UK, I had to explain it's just like owning the BBC and Sky Network, and they will let you broadcast your content for free. This is the future, but the future already showed up. And I think we've got about a 3 to 5 year window for this, guys. 3 to 5 year window in terms of this. This is the business of the future. What will you see with every company? That. TV studio inside the company designed to do what? Produce content. Not do ads, tell stories. Give something of value. See your future, Zach? I bet he can pull this off. I bet he's fairly articulate. Not bad to look at. What do you think? You know, handsome in a way, right? A little easy on the eyes. Whatever. But my point is this, guys. Is this expensive or dirt cheap? Dirt cheap. I've got one in my house. So, if you really want to get into the fast lane, filter out the category language. That's why we did the exercise this morning about, you know, the writing on the wall. Flip chart what your category is saying and filter out all that category language. Find the share-worthy stories. Zach demonstrates there are share-worthy stories inside every company. Zach, I almost forgot that there's a book for you for going up there and taking one for the team. Okay? And focus on publishing. Publishing. Is it going to be every day? Is it going to be every week? Is it going to be every 2 weeks? I publish each and every week. I write stories and I do video blogs on the subject of reinvention, business, brand, career reinvention. And because I get to travel all over the world, I find these different stories and then share them with my audience. And I would love to be able to share these stories with you because I don't know the day that that's the story that connected and resonated with you. Who knows when it's going to happen? But those stories are out there. And probably one of the most relevant stories from the past few weeks has been the story of Wayne Gretzky, the great Canadian hockey player. What was Gretzky's famous quote that Steve Jobs actually used to launch the iPhone? I go to where the puck is going to be, not to where it's been. Gretzky was the greatest offensive scoring machine in the history of the game simply because he could anticipate the future at high speed. He knew where the puck was going and he would always get there first. Well, I think Gretzky is very relevant for what we've been talking about today. Don't be left behind. Get to where this thing is going to be. That's where it's all headed. And hopefully today you kind of see now how far and how fast you can go down this metaphorical branding highway. So on that note, next time you're out on the branding highway and the cool wind is in your hair, never lose sight. There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Yes, the branding highway is the road less traveled. Robert Frost, 1916, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood. I took the one less traveled by. That has made all the difference. That's what the branding highway ultimate metaphor represents. It is the road less traveled, but it's the one you can travel to greatly accelerate and differentiate your marketing without spending a fortune on advertising. So on that note, I would encourage you to drive fast and take lots of chances. So thank you so much, Powell.
So I just want to thank Gair Maxwell for coming. Thank you